Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 14 SWTF. Chapter 326. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Windmill Village, a small village near Goa Kingdom, is where the protagonist Luffy was born. The villagers in the village are generally simple, natural, and live and work in peace and contentment. Because of Garp's relationship, this place has not been attacked by pirates. It is like a paradise, independent of the islands of East Blue. At the port, a black shadow is heading here at a very fast speed, and in the blink of an eye, the shadow can already see a blurry face. After a while, the small canoe had reached the port, and Hanxing and Xiaonan got off the canoe and walked inside. The Windmill Village is not big and there are not many people. They are very familiar with each other. As soon as the two outsiders, Hanxing and Xiaonan, arrived here, the people in the village knew it instantly. Just as Hanxing carried Xiaonan to the Maginot Bar, an old man with a hat appeared in front of them. Are you from outsiders? What's the matter with Maginot? Windmill Village Chief Up Slap looked at Hanxing and asked vigilantly. You are Mr. Slap, the village chief. I have something to ask Miss Maginot to ask her, Hanxing said with a smile. In the future, Xiaonan wants to live here, and as a brother, he has to have a good relationship with the people in the village, at least, to leave a good impression. Hanxing's words made Slap's face lighten, and adding that Hanxing had a child, he didn't think Hanxing and the two were bad people. But that 100 million reward is definitely not fake. After all, this is the only pirate in East Blue who has offered a reward of more than 100 million over the years, so he can't be careless. Come with me, said Slap, leading the way. Hanxing rubbed Xiaonan's forehead and followed Slap. Before long, the two came to a house with a beer sign on it. Slap pushed the door open and said loudly, Maginot, are you there? Advertisement. Village chief, why are you here? What's the matter? Maginot walked out from the inside, with this doubt on his peaceful face. Someone's looking for you, Slap pointed out, his eyes full of vigilance. The smart-minded Marchino knew immediately that the village chief was worried about her. Looking down Slap's fingers, Hanxing and Xiaonan instantly appeared in her line of sight. Who are you, Hanxing? Maginot was stunned at first, then smiled softly, I don't know if you have anything to do with me. Seeing this smile, Xiaonan's uneasy mood seemed to be healed and regained a little peace. Hanxing didn't talk nonsense, and directly informed Maginot of his plans. Are you going to keep this child here? Then, to get revenge. Maginot's soft face was surprised. Yeah, Hanxing rubbed Xiaonan's forehead, Turner Village's revenge must be avenged. Alas, Slap sighed now, from what Hanxing just said, he is different from other pirates, and he is not a bad person. As that's so, Maginot looked at Hanxing and then at Xiaonan, who was beside him, and smiled warmly, if Xiaonan is willing, I'll be fine. Thank you, Hanxing said with a smile. He lowered his body, pinched his small face, and said softly, Xiaonan. This is the elder sister I found for you. She is a very good person. Will you live here in the future? Xiaonan looked up at Hanxing and then at Maginot, her small eyes instantly turned red, she shook her head and said, no. I want to be with brother Hanxing. Silly girl, brother is going to avenge Grandpa Nalo, your grandma and everyone in Turner Village. Hanxing explained patiently. Don't. I've lost my grandma and Grandpa Nalo. I don't want to lose your only relative. Advertisement. Brother Hanxing, let's not take revenge, okay, let's just live here. Xiaonan hugged Hanxing's thigh, as if to vent all her emotions these days. Tears in his eyes flowed outside like a stream, and his red eyes were full of anticipation. Seeing Xiaonan's appearance, Hanxing couldn't bear it and said with a smile, okay. Let's not go. He planned to stay here for a few days first, let Xiaonan get acquainted with it, and then leave. Anyway, Doflamingo's lair is in Dressrosa, so finding him is easy. After simply agreeing to Xiaonan, Hanxing stayed at the Maginot Tavern. Of course, he lived in the lobby of the tavern. Time flies, and a week goes by quietly. In a dense forest, Hanxing appeared here with a calm expression. Not far from here, there is a giant mountain range, where Luffy and others lived when they were children, Gorbo Mountain. There lives the bandit Daden and others. A standard knife-mouthed tofu-hearted man-woman. Walking in front of a thick tree, Hanxing's face sank, his fist clenched, and his dark arm color instantly covered him. He waved gently at the tree in front of him. Not bad. Feeling the changes on the tree, Hanxing nodded in satisfaction and turned to leave. At the moment Hanxing left, a tall figure emerged from the hillside and walked to the tree where Hanxing had just thrown his fist. With a suspicious look on his face, he said, is this the one who offered a reward of 100 million bells? Excuse me, the strength is too weak, and even a tree can't be broken. Daden scolded and said, holding one hand to the tree in front of her, intending to take a rest. Now that there are no bear children like Luffy on the mountain, her life has simply improved to a new level. Advertisement. Just as Dadan's hand reached out to the tree, the intact tree instantly turned into tiny pieces of wood and burst open. These tiny pieces of wood are densely packed, and each piece seems to have been measured, neat and uniform. Daden looked at all this, opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. But, I can't hide the horror in my eyes. Is this the strength of a bounty of 100 million pirates? This is too terrifying. Dadan asked herself, with her own strength, she could smash the big tree in front of her with one punch, but like Hanxing, from the inside to the outside, the tree will keep its original appearance after the blow, she can't do it. What if it hits the human body? Daden didn't dare to think about it. Swallowing his saliva, Daden walked towards the mountain dripping with cold sweat, and if he stayed here again, she would probably leave a shadow behind. A full moon hangs high, bringing a ray of light to the dark night. In the tavern hall, Hanxing did not sleep as usual, but stood there, waiting for Maginot to come out. It didn't take long for Maginot to come out of it, and under the moonlight, there was a trace of holiness on her peaceful face, which was not to be desecrated. Are you going? Well, Xiaonan has adapted to life here, it's time for me to leave. You can't help but avenge your revenge. Isn't it good to stay here and live with Xiaonan with peace of mind? Chapter 327. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. No, I'm doomed not to live in a peaceful environment. Hanxing shook his head. Saying that, with a light stroke of the right hand, the space in front of him seemed to be cut open by Hanxing, and a black crack appeared here. Hanxing reached in and pulled out a package, which was exactly the 300W Bailey that Hanxing had extorted from Marine in Orange Town. This money, take it, treat it as Xiaonan's living expenses here. No, I'm fine. Maginot was first shocked by Hanxing's methods, then he quickly waved his hand and smiled peacefully. Xiaonan is a cute and smart child, I like her very much. Besides, I'm the only one here, you leave Xiaonan, just to be my companion. When Maginot said this, his face was sincere. Hanxing could feel the sincerity inside. Take it, it's just that I keep it here, otherwise, I'm not feeling well. Hearing this, Magino took Hanxing's package. I see. I hope this package can be returned to you. Definitely. Hanxing nodded. Then will you meet Luffy and Ace? Maybe. Hanxing pondered. Is there anything you want me to tell them? No, just, said Magino, hesitantly, his face a little red. After I leave, Xiao Nan will be taken care of by you. We are also a family. If you have anything, please tell me directly. Hanxing smiled softly. Advertisement. This made Magino's face soften, and said, in the future. If Luffy and Ace encounter any trouble in the future, I hope you can help them. Magino didn't want to tell Hanxing about this, but Hanxing's hand just showed her, and she instantly thought of the safety of Luffy and Ace. It can be said that she grew up watching these two bear children. She clearly understands how naughty these two bear children are. Even if you don't say it, I'll do it. Is there anything else to say? Be careful. Be sure to come back. Xiao Nan is waiting for you. Magino's cheeks were slightly red, and he whispered. Okay, Hanxing nodded. Then, Xiao Nan will leave it to you. Saying that, Hanxing took a step, and in the next instant, the figure quietly disappeared from Magino's sight. Magino looked at the empty room, feeling a little lost in his heart, as if he was blocked by something. In Lobe Town, on a slightly dark street, there was a ripple in the space, and Hanxing walked out of it. He took a long breath and narrowed his eyes. Finally, I can let go and have a big fight. Brother Doflamming. I found a hotel to stay at random. Early the next morning, Hanxing ate something, turned it into a medium-sized boat with wood style, and set off towards the Grand Line. Ding. Since host is entering the Grand Line, the system is released. One shot with the ability of Thunder Fruit, please obliterate it and understand the cause and effect. Two groups of a pirate ship world government rule, become the master of the sea. After these two tasks are completed, host will enter the next world. At the moment Hanxing entered the Grand Line from Upside Down Mountain, a system prompt sound appeared in Hanxing's mind. System task. I thought you were dead. Hanxing murmured while standing on the plywood. Advertisement. These two tasks are very simple and easy to understand. The first one should be to solve the endless Sky Island. The second finds some people to form their own pirate group, and then unifies the chaotic era on the sea. Forget it. Go to Sky Island first. Just drop by. With a murmur, Hanxing waved, and the space vortex emerged, drawing the ships on the sea into his own space. The whole person is suspended in the air. If you want to go to Sky Island, you must go to Guy Island. If you want to go to Guy Island, you must have the eternal pointer or record pointer on Guy Island. Trouble, Hanxing murmured. The closest ones are Whiskey Peak and Little Garden. The small town above Whiskey Peak is actually inhabited by a group of bounty hunters and the secret men of Sand Crocodile. It's just that Luffy made a big fuss. Wei Wei and Luffy left, and I don't know if there is anyone there. Let's go to Whiskey Peak to see it first. With a murmur, Hanxing flew forward. Whiskey Peak is not far from here. Hanxing saw two giant peaks and a small town under the peaks before flying long. Falling from the sky, it instantly attracted the attention of those around you. You are. Seeing Hanxing's appearance, a bounty hunter pretending to be an ordinary person pointed at Hanxing with a terrified face. Call out the boss or the person in charge here. I'm not interested in you little bastards. Let's call our mayor, said the bounty hunter, and hurried away. Not long after, a thin middle-aged man, led by the man just now, ran over. My name is Gabby and I'm the mayor of this town. Welcome you. Gabby smiled and looked sincere. Anyone who doesn't know will never suspect that he is a bounty hunter. Advertisement. Mayor, isn't it a bounty hunter organization? Hanxing was expressionless and broke it on the spot. Big, my lord, us. Gabby was pierced by Hanxing, and was at a loss for a while. If a person has just entered the Grand Line, it is nothing to be dismantled. The town is all bounty hunters. The big deal is to attack in groups. It is nothing more than making a little less. The people in front of them are different. The reward of up to 100 million is enough to discourage them. Although this is a town composed of bounty hunters, if you deal with it head-on, you can at most compete with pirates with a bounty of 3,000 W. Generally speaking, in order to be safe, they will want to deal with Luffy, first get drunk, or drug, and then start. Now, Hanxing has directly dismantled it, making it difficult for him to ride a tiger. He looked upstairs embarrassedly. Sir, we're just eating. Please forgive me. Forgive me. He folded his hands and begged. Hanxing interrupted Gabby's words with a flat tone. I'm not interested in what you guys do. I'm here to ask if you have a record pointer for Guy Island. Hearing Hanxing's words, Gabby breathed a sigh of relief and said respectfully, Sir, we don't have the record pointer of Guy Island here. After a pause, for fear that Hanxing would be angry, he quickly said, Sir, you don't know, we usually live here on nearby islands, and the farthest one has been to the desert kingdom of Alabasta. Also, then give me the Alabasta record pointer. Wait, Gabby said and hurried away. Back in his room, a group of bounty hunters were waiting anxiously. Seeing the arrival of Gabby, one of the burly bald heads said impatiently. How about Gabby? When will the banquet be held? He added his lower lip, his eyes showing greed. This is a big fish. Chapter 328. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. All right, don't think about it. Gabby smiled bitterly. He didn't forget that when he was talking to Hanxing just now, there was a faint coercion on his body. This coercion alone made him tremble with fear. It was like a mountain, and he was a little bit overwhelmed. There was a crazy warning in his mind. Don't look for death. Don't look for death. What do you mean? Just gave up. That's 100 million Bailey. If this vote is completed, if we save some money, we can stop doing business for at least a month. The bald man said a little unwillingly. Gabby swept the crowd in the room, all with hope, and helplessly repeated what Hanxing had just said to them. At the end, he explained, it's not that I don't want to do this business, but that people already know what we're doing. Since he knows he dares to come here alone, do you think he is a fool? With a serious tone, Gabby said again, of course not, he dares to come, he has absolute certainty to solve all of us, and even I suspect that he is just waiting for us to take action, so that the place can be wiped out. As soon as the last sentence fell, everyone's expressions changed. He wouldn't have this plan. The bald man frowned. What do you think? Pirates can't do anything, and they are still pirates with a reward of 100 million Baileys. Gabby shook his head. I'm not involved in this matter. Don't add me if you want to do it. I'm going to give that person the record pointer of Alabasta anyway. I hope he gets out of here soon. Go. After a while, he left in a hurry, leaving a group of bounty hunters staring at each other silently. Sir, this is the record pointer you want. Gabby ran over on the street with a sweat on his face, holding a pointer in his hand, and said carefully. Hanxing took it in one hand and looked at it carefully. Advertisement. There is a compass-like pointer in a sphere made of glass. No matter how Hanxing turns the glass ball, the pointer on it will always point in one direction. The recording pointer is like a compass. After entering the Grand Line, the magnetic force, current and wind direction between each island are different, resulting in the confusion of the magnetic field. The recording pointer can solve this problem very well. Traveling through the islands is a must for the Grand Line, otherwise, just wait and get lost in the sea. Sir, this recording pointer only records 4 locations, one is here, and there are Little Garden, Drum Island and Alabasta not far from here. Seeing Hanxing's expression, Gabby said with satisfaction. Okay, got it, Hanxing nodded. With a flip of his palm, a thin black needle appeared in Hanxing's hand and flicked it into the distance. The black thin needle suddenly turned into a black streak, and the streamer disappeared in Gabby's eyes. Sir, are you? Gabby was a little puzzled by Hanxing's actions. You'll find out soon. Hanxing patted his shoulder and said with deep meaning. After speaking, the whole person slowly vacated and headed towards the direction of the recording pointer. Looking at Hanxing's body flying in midair, Gabby was horrified. Although it is from the Grand Line, he has also heard some pirates or bounty hunters who have returned from the Grand Line boasting about it. This is the ultimate flight that can only be achieved by taking taijutsu to ultimate, or moonwalk in Marine 6 styles. Whether it is Grand Line or New World, as long as it can fly, it means 2 words, awesome. You can't afford it. Gabby doesn't think Hanxing will be Marines, only the first. Advertisement. And this kind of person has a reward of at least 500 million. Thinking of this, Gabby was afraid for a while, and unknowingly, a cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Fortunately, I didn't listen to the bald head, otherwise, the whole town would be destroyed by Hanxing. Mayor Gabby, it's not good, it's not good. He died suddenly with a bald head. A bounty hunter ran over panting and shouted. The pupils were extremely frightened, as if they had seen a ghost. What's the matter? Gabby frowned. Wasn't he fine when he came? Is it? Suddenly, Gabby thought of the thin black needle that Hanxing had just popped out. Not caring about the figure in front of him, the whole person quickly ran towards the house. Lord Gabby, you're here. Take a look. The bald head was sitting here just now, and suddenly died. The wound should be a very small hidden weapon, like an embroidery needle. A bounty hunter who has a good relationship with the bald head, saw Gabby coming, and quickly spoke up. Gabby didn't make a sound, and quickly walked to the bald head, looking at it carefully. A small hole appeared in his line of sight on his forehead. His pupils contracted violently, and he turned his bald head back. After seeing the holes in the back, he quickly asked, where was the bald head just now? Sit here on this chair. The bounty hunter just now pointed. Gabby recalled the direction of Hanxing and the 2 in his mind, and after thinking of the direction of the bald head, he walked straight in front of the bald head and came to the end. A thin black needle was quietly stuck on the white wall. There was a faint trace of red blood on it. Advertisement. Pulling out the thin black needle, Gabby's face was pale, his heart was beating violently, and there was fear in his eyes, and he muttered, it really is him. Is this what the adult said just now? ... The matter of Gabby and others was just done casually by Hanxing, and soon after he left, he would have forgotten about it. To him, Gabby was a swarm of ants, not worth caring about. With the recording pointer, Hanxing's speed is very fast, like a shooting star across the sky. For others, it takes days and a week to travel, but for Hanxing, it is only a few hours. Alabasta is the superpower of the Grand Line, the capital is Albana, and the garrison alone is as high as 60W, which is not counting the number of people living there. Ordinary small islands, let alone 60W people, even 6W people are enough. By the time Hanxing arrived here, it was already dusk. As far as the eye can see, there are dense golden deserts everywhere, and its geographical environment is a match for the country of wind. The desert is solitary, and the long river is setting sun. Hanxing murmured, looking at the golden sand sea in front of him. Then, find the right direction and fly towards the capital of Alabasta. He believed that there would be the record pointer he wanted, or even an upgraded version of the record pointer, the eternal pointer. As soon as Luffy comes, the whole town of Alabasta is not good, there is a drought everywhere. And the reason for all this, Hanxing is very clear, is that Crocodile, one of the Shichibukai, used dancing powder to make a ghost. Chapter 329. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Crocodile Logia sand fruit ability, also known as the King of the Desert, has the same ability to manipulate sand as Gaara. He is the president of Ballot Studio, whose purpose is to obtain information on the ancient weapon Pluton in the history of Alabasta. After all these years of preparation, the hearts and minds of the King of Alabasta, Cobra, have finally been lost, causing the people to mourn and complain, even to the point of uprising. I just don't know if Luffy and others have come here or not. Judging from the situation, it is estimated that Luffy has not come here yet, otherwise he will not look so dead. Albana, where exquisite and tall buildings stand, is the residence of Alabasta princes and nobles. It stands to reason that there should be a variety of shops here, and it is extremely prosperous. In reality, there is a huge contrast. At this time, Albana was in chaos. The rebels, the King's Guard, Luffy and others, and the Baroque studio headed by Sand Crocodile fought together. The rebel leader Kosha and Wei Wei were childhood sweethearts. After knowing the truth, Wei Wei told Kosha everything. Now Kosha has led the rebel army to surrender to Cobra and fight against Crocodile together. About to drive Crocodile and others out of Alabasta. In the distance, on a wide street, there were bursts of roars, accompanied by the occasional shouts of Luffy. That's where Luffy and Crocodile are fighting. The highest point of Albana, Cobra, Wei Wei, Nami, Kosha. All the high-level officials of the kingdom looked at the scene in the distance solemnly. They know that the life and death of the entire Alabasta is related to that battle. On the battlefield, Sand Crocodile looked at Luffy in front of him with a sneer. Straw Hat Boy. You are not my opponent. Or, you are still far from it. I will never let you go. It's absolutely unforgivable to make Wei Wei's hometown look like this. Luffy shouted with a serious face. Rubber, machine guns, advertisement. Arms stretched out suddenly, with bursts of air-breaking sounds, like raindrops slamming towards Crocodile not far away. Crocodile looked indifferent, turning a blind eye to Luffy's fist rain and letting him attack him. Bang bang bang. The moment the two touched, Crocodile instantly turned into a beach of sand, fell to the ground, and returned to its original shape after a while. With a sarcastic expression, I am a Logia sand fruit person, your attacks are useless to me. Then, his face changed instantly, with a serious face, it's time to end. The right hand turns into a ball of sand, the sand is inconspicuous, just ordinary sand. But at the moment of its swing, these sands instantly turned into a sharp desert long blade like a whip, directly slashing at Luffy not far away. Ah, it's the trick again, Luffy yelled, changing face, obviously suffering from the trick. Without any hesitation, the arm stretched out to grab a building at will, and the whole person flashed and rushed towards it. Boom, the dust whip fell, and the sharp dust directly sank into the face, and a long crack appeared on the entire ground in an instant. Humph, sly monkey, Luffy fled, Crocodile snorted. The whole person turned into sand and floated up, flying in the direction of Luffy. Rubber, bazooka, Luffy wrapped his legs around the top of the building, stretched his hands to a limit, and then followed this limit of rebound, and suddenly slammed into Crocodile not far away. Never mind the struggle, Crocodile commented, talk down. Advertisement. The entire head was directly smashed by Luffy's fists. Boom. Seeing Luffy's appearance, everyone became worried again. For a time, the sound of the top building falling to the ground was heard, causing a burst of dust. Anyone who was within the range of this sand slash and whose building height is higher than the sand slash will be instantly cut in half by this sand slash. Right, his current bounty is 100 million Baileys. Nami raised her head proudly and raised her chest to the airport, not to mention her complacent appearance. Those who didn't know it thought it was her own bounty. However, what Cobra said is also a problem. If the elementalization of Crocodile is not solved, Luffy will always be at a disadvantage. Sanji and the others glanced at them and stopped talking. If there are many useful people, what are they doing here watching? Excuse me, do you have an eternal pointer to Guy Island here? Not only Cobra, everyone raised their heads subconsciously. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, close. Nami, is he your friend? Wei Wei has doubts in her eyes. Usopp, Zoro, Sanji, it's him. No, I want to go to Guy Island. I heard that there is a record pointer of Guy Island here, so I came here to ask for it. Hanxing shook his head, his voice high and cold. Just when they were thinking about how to solve the problem of crocodile elementalization, a voice resounded in everyone's ears. Nami was surprised, with 2 pink peach hearts in his eyes, and a hint of shyness in his tone. Hanxing, why are you here? Do you know that we are in danger? Advertisement. Boom, boom, but the building behind him suffered. Father, that's the unique elementalization of the Logia fruit. It's hard to crack. Wei Wei looked at Luffy's location with worry in her eyes. Your Majesty, why don't you let this minister wish Luffy a helping hand? The guard's adjutant, Gaka said. The only good thing is that the height of this sand slash is very high, and it basically cut off some of the top of the building, and did not cut it from the middle. The sand filled the air, and the crocodile returned to its original shape. The sound of Luffy being kicked by the crocodile and crashing into multiple buildings. Whoosh, not far away, Cobra and the others watched this scene with their brows together. Luffy doesn't seem to have the upper hand. If you want Luffy to have the upper hand, you need to crack Crocodile's ability to change sand freely. A roar sounded. The whole body was filled with sand, and the entire arm suddenly turned into a crescent-shaped sand slash, and swung it sharply at Luffy not far away. As soon as he exited, he looked up and his face was extremely shocked. 100 million Baileys. Who was better between Luffy and Hanxing? Wei Wei's eyes lit up, full of anticipation. Underscore. Like last time, Luffy stretched out his arm, dodging Crocodile's attack. Yeah, my hometown was liberated by him. That said, he was so excited that he hurriedly told Wei Wei and others what Hanxing had done, and even forgot about Luffy's safety. In midair, a figure stood out of thin air, with a calm face, the breeze blew, and the clothes on his body rustled, coupled with his handsome appearance and the aura of dust, it was like a banished immortal. The crescent-shaped sand slashed, long in the wind, like a stretched whip, reaching Luffy in an instant. Yes, what do you want that for? Cobra replied subconsciously. Chapter 330. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. As soon as these words came out, even Cobra and the others looked at Nami expectantly and waited for her return. If Hanxing is powerful, wouldn't it be possible to defeat Crocodile, and thus, would not save their country? Under the gazes of everyone, Nami and the others shut their mouths for a moment. How can I say that Luffy is not Hanxing's enemy of unity? After all, Luffy is also their captain, so what a shame. It's hard to say, there's no comparison, Sanji said, and relieved Nami. No comparability, what do you mean? Wei Wei said again, this was related to the safety of their country, she had to figure it out. Seeing Wei Wei swearing to never give up, Nami was a little embarrassed. Luffy was killed by Hanxing in one move. After she finished speaking, she felt embarrassed and panicked, and her face flushed, like a red apple. Not only Nami, but also Sanji and Zoro Usopp lowered their heads unconsciously. Wei Wei and the others didn't care about the expressions of several people, their eyes were all on Hanxing's figure floating in the air. His eyes were filled with expressions of shock and disbelief. Wei Wei even opened her small mouth unconsciously, showing how restless she was inside. Lord Hanxing, can I ask you to take action and defeat Crocodile? Wei Wei suddenly said, kneeling on the ground with his hands folded, with a hint of pleading in his words. She really didn't want her country to be persecuted by Crocodile, she really couldn't stand the numbness of her people, all of them were sallow and thin, pitiful and helpless. Wei Wei. Cobra saw Wei Wei's movements, with a look of unbearable in his eyes. Princess Wei, Ikalem murmured, advertisement. The same goes for Kosha, Bell, and Gaka, looking at the figure above with complicated eyes. Hanxing frowned, he came here because he wanted the record pointer or the eternal pointer of Guy Island, and he didn't want to meddle in his own business. After all, Luffy will handle these things very well, and he doesn't need to get involved. But Wei Wei's action surprised him a little, the dignified princess of a country did not hesitate to kneel to him for the sake of the country, which made him a little moved. After a moment of silence, Hanxing said, yes, but, give me the record pointer of Guy Island. This is a deal. Good, good, as long as you defeat Crocodile, everything is easy to say. Cobra was overjoyed. Okay, Hanxing said indifferently, took the next step, and instantly disappeared from everyone's sight. Wei Wei and the others shrank their pupils, their faces showing horror, they didn't even see how Hanxing disappeared. Then, with a happy expression, the higher the strength, isn't that what they want? Zoro and Sanji looked at each other, then fell silent, thinking that they had come to the Grand Line, and they and others had improved in quality, and planned to teach Hanxing a good lesson for Luffy in the future. Now it seems that they think too much and improve so much, or they can't even see the shadow of others. Amidst the ruins, Luffy looked embarrassed and his chest was fixed, and it seemed that he would not be defeated by Crocodile for a long time. In contrast to Crocodile, it is. Straw Hat, I've had enough of cat and mouse. Now, let's send you on your way. Crocodile smiled grimly. The whole body squatted down, touched the ground with his right hand, and shouted, erosion of samsara. An invisible wave emanated from Crocodile's body, directly covering its 100-meter range. Advertisement. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the surrounding construction land began to change greatly, one by one seemed to be drained of water and became old. The ground is even more withered and yellow, and a trace of cracks appear unknowingly. Click, click, boom, the overwhelmed building burst apart and fell to the ground. The moment it fell to the ground, it turned into a piece of fly ash-like sand. After a while, the radius of 100 meters turned directly into a sea of sand. Crocodile waved his right palm, and the surrounding sand instantly turned into crescent-shaped sand whip slashes, slashing towards Luffy. Nani. Luffy's face changed, his body was flexible like a monkey dodging back and forth. But, this time, Crocodile's sand cuts are too many, so dense that they can't even see the end. This can no longer be called an arc moon dune, but it can be called an arc moon dune ocean. Even if Luffy's body is flexible, he can't hide. Moreover, these sand slashes can not only cause harm to the body, but also absorb the water in the body and turn it into a mummy. As long as Luffy is not careful, he will lose his combat power. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One after another, the sand chops passed by Luffy. Luffy was panting, his chest heaved violently, and his physical strength had reached the limit. Damn it, how can this guy be so tough? Advertisement. Just as he was talking, a sand slash appeared in front of Luffy. At this time, Luffy was already exhausted, and his dodging movements were not as flexible as before, and he did not completely avoid the sand slash. Not good. Luffy knew that this sand slash was terrifying, and he almost died in this sand slash. He didn't have time to think about it, his body suddenly dodged, dodging the sand slash, but because of this, his physical strength was completely exhausted. Luffy half knelt on the ground with an unwilling face, looking at the indifferent crocodile in the distance. His body became weak, his consciousness began to blur, and even his eyelids were extremely heavy. Damn it, don't you just lose like that. That, Wei-Wei's country, isn't it? Luffy bit his tongue, resisting the desire to fall asleep. Leave it to me here. I haven't seen you for a few days and you are still so weak. A dull voice sounded around, and Hanxing appeared in front of Luffy out of thin air. It's you, Hanxing. Luffy looked surprised. Here, just, please, I must defeat Crocodile. When it came to the last sentence, Luffy had fallen into a deep sleep. Looking at the sleeping Luffy, Hanxing carefully sensed Luffy's body and found that the physical strength in his body was recovering at an extremely fast speed. Interesting physique, is this the special physique of the D family? In the distance, Crocodile was surrounded by golden sand, and when he saw Hanxing appear, his expression wrinkled with a cigar in his mouth. This is Alabasta's new support. That person is Hanxing. Crocodile recalled Hanxing's bounty. Are you a pirate with a bounty of 100 million with the Straw Hat Boy? Humph, do you really think a pirate with a bounty of 100 million can beat me? Cobra is too naive. Crocodile snorted coldly and looked at Hanxing with a bit of disdain. With a bounty of 100 million, the Straw Hat Boy was not easily defeated by him. Underscore. Chapter 331. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. He raised his palm and waved at Hanxing suddenly. Shazan, who had been in midair because Luffy fell, gathered again and flew towards Hanxing. Do you really think I'm that rubbish, Luffy? Hanxing sneered and kicked Luffy out of the fighting range. In the next instant, he quietly disappeared in place. After losing the target, Shazan suddenly fell to the ground, and small cracks appeared. In the blink of an eye, the originally flat ground suddenly turned into a mess. Crocodile's eyes were not set far away, but he turned his head back and forth, looking for Hanxing's figure. What a fast delivery, you can't even notice where he is at all. Putting away the disdain on his face, there was a hint of solemnity in his eyes. With the speed at which it came and went without a trace, it was worthy of his attention. I'm here. Suddenly, Hanxing's figure appeared behind Crocodile. Crocodile turned around suddenly, but what he saw was a dark afterimage. His face remained the same, and even the corners of his mouth twitched. I'm Logia Sand Fruit, and your attacks have no effect on me. As soon as he finished speaking, a dull voice sounded around. Crocodile's pupils contracted, his eyes widened, and the piercing pain in his stomach nearly made him faint. He opened his eyes diligently, and looked at Hanxing's legs subconsciously. The legs were as black as ink, shining with a metallic sheen. Woo, armament hockey, Crocodile said with difficulty. That's right, Hanxing said indifferently. A sudden force on the leg, the violent force erupted like a volcano. Crocodile's entire figure is like a meteor, flying backwards into the distance. Bang bang bang, advertisement. Along the way, everything in front of him was blocked by him, or smashed into two halves. PFF'd. Crocodile in midair spit out a mouthful of blood unconsciously, with some red flesh mixed in it. Boom, finally, it hit a solid villa wall, and the entire cement wall was directly dented and stuck there. Crocodile, with a force, came out from the inside and stumbled to the ground. He pointed to the star, and just as he was about to speak, his body involuntarily spit out a mouthful of blood again, his face pale. Not far away, on a high-rise building, Cobra, Wei-Wei and the others looked at the battle in the distance in shock, and lost their minds for a while. Is this still the Shichibukai crocodile they knew, or the indifferent crocodile who was always in his master? After a while, everyone came back to their senses. Said one after another, fight, fight, it's still flying. I vomited blood, I vomited twice, saved, our kingdom is saved. At this point, all rebellions in Alabasta are over, except for Crocodile, the leader of the rebellion. Therefore, this battle was not only watched by Cobra and others, but also by many people in another high-rise building, and some people even started to broadcast it. After all, this battle is about the life and death of the entire Alabasta, and they can't help but care. After seeing Luffy being defeated, everyone was disheartened and looked down, but when they saw Hanxing appear, and when Crocodile was defeated, they regained their confidence, cheered and saw hope. Advertisement. It can be said that Hanxing's actions have been connected with the hearts of the entire Alabasta people. Go to hell. Suddenly, Crocodile's body appeared in front of Hanxing. Desert Greatsword, with sarcasm in Hanxing's eyes, run away in front of me, do you think you can escape? As he spoke, he opened his palms, with a hint of majesty in his indifference, universal pull. Damn it, I'm a jerk, Crocodile roared. From a distance, I saw this scene. The golden sand spreads all over the body, and the right hand stretches forward, and the sand around the body gathers to the hand at a very fast speed. It's useless. You're too weak. If I hadn't used Alabasta's record pointer and owed them a favor, I wouldn't even want to shoot at you. Hanxing shook his head. Nami subconsciously shouted worriedly, Hanxing, be careful. In front of the cracked building, Crocodile stood up in embarrassment, his face no longer ridiculed, but extremely solemn. In the next instant, Crocodile turned into a mass of sand, holding a desert sword, and charged towards Hanxing. Even if it has Logia Sand Fruit, it is the lowest existence in the New World. As a last resort, he can only return, try to become stronger, and find the trace of Pluten by the way. Crocodile has been to the New World, a place full of danger, and knows what armament hockey is, the nemesis of their capable ones. Who the hell are you? With your strength, it is impossible to have such a small reward of 100 million. The desert great sword on the sword glow suddenly stabbed towards Hanxing. You really thought you'd eat me? Crocodile's complexion was ashen, and the corners of his mouth were ferocious, like a beast that had been hungry for a long time, choosing to devour him. It just made him not expect that at the forefront of the Grand Line, there will be people using armament hockey. Advertisement. Everyone else looked worried, even Sanji and the others who didn't like Hanxing very much. A dark blue shield appeared out of thin air around Hanxing, completely protecting Hanxing's whole body. When, the crocodile in the center took the brunt of the brunt, his body galloping, and then, like a fired bullet, it flew behind Hanxing. Is this your last words? Hanxing avoided speaking, expressionless. This, how is it possible? He is also a power person. Feeling his uncontrolled body, Crocodile's eyes were extremely horrified. Underscore. He was extremely fast, and under the red sunset, only a faint afterimage could be seen. Your strongest attack can't even break other people's defenses, so what are you doing here? Looking for death. In any case, Hanxing is now related to the liberation of the entire Alabasta. In an instant, a huge sand sword was formed. Around the sword, small grains of sand rolled back and forth, like the sword glow on the sword. If marine, he wouldn't be so surprised, but pirate, it really makes him a little unbelievable. The good dream was broken. Crocodile's face was extremely gloomy. He gave Hanxing a deep look, turned his head and ran away without any hesitation. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, close. The violent suction suddenly erupted from Hanxing's hand, and the terrifying suction, like a gluttonous glutton, gathered the surrounding gravel and soil towards here. The dark blue energy shield is extremely hard, like a giant mountain made of iron. No matter how hard Crocodile's desert sword is, it cannot be destroyed in the slightest. While everyone was worried, Crocodile's face was hideous, and the golden desert sword gradually stabbed Hanxing's body. Chapter 332. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. He felt himself being held in place by a stream of air, and the whole figure was like a statue, unable to move, even with all his strength. I can only watch my body fly towards Hanxing. Looking at Crocodile flying upside down, Hanxing continued to maintain universal pull with one hand, and clenched his fist with the other hand, covered with black arm color. The black iron fist gently attacked Crocodile. There was no strong force on it, just like an ordinary person punching. But with this light punch, all the souls of Crocodile flew upside down, and a deadly danger came from the fist, and he smelled the smell of death from there. No, absolutely not to be hit by him, absolutely not. Crocodile made up his mind. The whole person used all his strength, his face flushed red and the blue veins on his forehead burst. He wanted to leave the range of attraction, leave Alabasta, and leave all the places where Hanxing was. At this moment, Crocodile no longer loses the king's attitude just now, like a little man breaking free from prison. It's a pity that the difference in strength between him and Hanxing is too great. Too big. Even if he tried his best, he couldn't break free from the scope of this traction. It doesn't matter the struggle. Hanxing shook his head. The black fist fell with a bang. Make a slight noise. Crocodile felt the power coming from his body, and his face was full of confusion. Why was there nothing? Could it be that his sense of danger just now was fake? Will this punch tickle me again? Crocodile pointed at Hanxing, sarcastically. Advertisement. As soon as he finished speaking, Crocodile's face changed, and his whole body was in great pain, as if someone was slashing his internal organs with a knife inside him. The blood in the mouth was like a small stream, and it couldn't stop flowing out, mixed with small red meat pieces, which were formed by the broken organs in the body. He opened his mouth with difficulty and said 2 words, and he fell to the ground with a face full of unwillingness, losing his breath. The 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile, who have traversed the sea for many years, have completely fallen. Hanxing carried Crocodile's body, stepped on it, and in the next instant, the whole person disappeared in place. On the tall building in the distance, Wei waited with excitement on their faces. They saw the whole process of the battle here and knew that Hanxing had won. I also know that Alabasta is completely liberated, and the reason why he didn't leave is to wait for Hanxing's arrival and to wait for him to confirm. Call out. Silently, Hanxing appeared in front of Cobra and the others, and threw Crocodile's corpse in his hand. The voice was flat. Okay, it's over. Give me the eternal pointer of Gaia Island. This is Crocodile. Cobra stared in disbelief. Your Majesty, Crocodile is dead, Admiral Callum said, putting his hand to Crocodile's nose. With a look of joy on his face, he looked towards Hanxing with gratitude. Are you dead? It's good to be dead. Cobra was stunned for a moment, then shouted excitedly. Belle, Gabby, the 2 of you immediately go and tell the people that Crocodile is dead and our country is saved. Scallum, you leave and go to the palace, and let someone prepare a sumptuous dinner. According to the highest standards of our Alabasta, I will treat our hero well. Advertisement. After confirming that Crocodile was dead, Cobra immediately restored the majesty of the king and issued a series of orders. After a while, after all the instructions were given, he turned his head to look at Zoro with a smile on his face, and set his eyes on Hanxing, Lord Hanxing. Thank you very much this time. Look, the sky is getting dark. Why don't you rest here with us tonight and let us enter the friendship of the landlords? How about I hand you the eternal pointer of Gaia Island tomorrow morning? Hanxing looked up and found that the red sunset had completely disappeared, replaced by nightfall. At this time, it is really not suitable to hurry. He is not hypocritical, just nods, okay. Seeing Hanxing's agreement, Cobra and the others looked overjoyed, and hurriedly walked towards the palace with Hanxing. Wei greeted Zoro and the others. After all, they came here to help. Although she didn't defeat her, she did her best. As Princess Alabasta, she couldn't make Zoro and others feel cold. Night. The hall where the banquet was held in the palace was brightly lit, and beautiful delicacies were served by the waiter of the palace, and Luffy and others were full of oil. On the other side, in a simple room with a touch of luxury, Hanxing was dining alone. He didn't like that kind of lively scene very much, so he let Cobra eat him alone in this room. This approach made Cobra a little regretful, but readily agreed. Hanxing's appetite is not large. In the past, he needed dozens of people to eat. Since Kagaya became his tail beast and his entire body has been completely sublimated, his appetite has returned to that of an ordinary person. After just eating a little, they were removed, and then they walked to the bed next to them, running back and forth for a day. If there is no accident tomorrow, it is estimated that there will be a battle with Enel. Master Hanxing, are you asleep? Advertisement. There was a knock on the door, followed by a soft cry. Hanxing frowned, got up, and opened the door. Glancing at Wei, who was blushing, he said calmly, come in. Oh, what's the matter? Hanxing asked when the 2 entered the house. Me, I'm here to give this. Wei took out the eternal pointer from her arms with a smile on her face. Eternal pointer, thank you. Hanxing hurriedly took it from Wei. The eternal pointer and the record pointer are roughly the same. The only difference is that there is only one pointer in the record pointer, while the eternal pointer is divided into 3 separate areas, each of which has a pointer. Thank you very much for this matter. Wei said again, with great gratitude in her words. No, I said it was just a deal. Hanxing shook his head. If there's nothing wrong, please leave. I'm going to bed first. Hanxing thanked him directly, his voice indifferent and arrogant. I won't bother you anymore. He smiled apologetically and turned away. Looking at Wei's retreating back, Hanxing closed the door. He was very clear about Wei's intentions, nothing more than to make Wei get closer to him. It is best to become friends and so on. But Hanxing doesn't have extra time now. His current idea is to quickly complete the 2 tasks released by the system, and then return to his original world. Chapter 333. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The next day, Hanxing got up early, and without disturbing anyone, he ran in the direction of the eternal pointer. Gaia Island, shaped like a skeleton, 400 years ago due to the upwelling currents near the sea, the other half of Gaia Island was washed into the sky, which is today's Sky Island. This is why Hanxing is looking for Gaia Island. As long as he finds Gaia Island and keeps flying towards the sky, Sky Island can be found naturally. After arriving at Gaia Island, the sky was already bright and the sun was high, so I found a shop at random to pay homage to the Five Zhang Temple. Hanxing found a place with no one, and when his figure moved, the whole person went out to sea and rose into the sky. If you want to reach Sky Island, you must first reach the White Sea above the sky. The White Sea is as high as 7,000 meters above sea level. But Hanxing didn't need it, he flew by himself. As Hanxing flew higher and higher, the air in the sky became thinner and thinner. These, the harsh environment for ordinary people, are nothing to him. It didn't take long for a flowing white cloud to appear in Hanxing's field of vision. These white clouds were like elevators. Even Hanxing, who had seen strong winds and waves, was a little surprised. But it's just a surprise. The appearance of the White Sea means that Hanxing's route is correct. After flying up, he will reach the White Sea, where the Sky Island is located. Call out. Hanxing's expression did not change. His body turned into a streamer and continued to move forward. Before long, an island floating in the air appeared in Hanxing's line of sight. This is the Angel Island that appeared in the original book. It fell from the sky, and the people behind the elder's wings looked at him with unkind expressions. Advertisement. Of course Hanxing knew why. A part of Gaia Island was washed up into the sky 400 years ago and was called the Island of the Gods by Angel Island. Then the people of Angel Island drove away the aboriginal people above and occupied the place. The Shandia people are the aborigines of Gaia Island in order to retake their homeland, so the two tribes began a 400-year battle. Hanxing has no wings behind his back, so these people regard Hanxing as a Shandian. Now that the two clans are fighting, Hanxing appeared at this time, and they couldn't help but be full of hostility. Hanxing ignored the hostility of these people and wandered around here on his own. Speaking of which, he only knew that Enel lived on Sky Island, which was nearby, on the Island of the Gods. But looking at the eyes of the people around him, it is estimated that he will not tell him the location of the Island of God. It's not worth it to extract their memories for a little thing. I really hope that some people who don't have long eyes will be provocative, so that he can blatantly extract the souls of these people and their memories. Electromagnetic induction. You can only see the human body wave but not the appearance of a person. Even if you find it, you don't know where he is. Right, Hanxing's eyes flashed. He remembered that Conus had been playing the harp at Angel Beach and had a pet fox. It didn't take long for Hanxing to find out where Angel Beach was. As soon as I stepped into the beach, I saw a snow-white fox with silky fur. A pair of fox eyes turned back and forth, clever and flexible. This should be Conus' pet snow fox, and you should be able to find Conus after following it. While thinking about it, a melodious melody came looming from not far away. Advertisement. Hanxing raised his brows. It seemed that the fox didn't need to look for it. Walking along the sound of the piano, it didn't take long for Hanxing to see a girl with light yellow hair. Combing the unique braids of the people of Sky Island, leaving a ball at the end. At this time, he is playing with all his heart. Hanxing stood there quietly, listening to the melodious piano music to relax and waiting for her to finish playing. The sound of the piano is fast and slow, fast like a rapid current, slow like mountains and heavy loads. For a time, Hanxing gradually closed his eyes and indulged in it. By the time the violin stopped, an hour had passed before I knew it. He opened his eyes, and a smiling Conus appeared in his eyes. You're awake. Your piano sound is good, Hanxing commented. Thank you for your compliment. I've been playing for so many years, and I'm the first person from Shanghai to say that my piano sound is good. Conus' eyes narrowed into crescent moons, extremely happy. If just now she was just waiting for Hanxing to wake up out of obligation, then now, she has a little more affection for Hanxing. Looking at your clothes, it should be from Shanghai who just came here. Yes, I came here to find the location of the Island of God, but unfortunately I don't know where it is. Besides, people here are hostile to me, so they probably won't tell me, so I can only find it myself. Hanxing shrugged. It didn't matter. Road. Island of God. Conus was stunned for a moment, then suddenly, you are also from Shanghai, so it is normal to ask about this. But, I advise you, don't ask about it, even if you find it, you will die if you go up, because... Conus looked solemn, looked left and right, and after confirming that no one was there, he cautiously said, because the ruler of Sky Island now lives in it, God. Lord Enel. Advertisement. His strength is extremely powerful, he can control thunder and lightning, and even the gods who took office were easily defeated by him. In the last sentence, Conus seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes were full of fear. God, Enel, Hanxing said in surprise, full of disdain in his heart. A lucky guy who happened to eat thunder fruit, what god? What a ridiculous and ignorant name. Yes, it's Lord Enel. Conus nodded quickly. That expression made Hanxing look a little speechless, so he was careful when he said his name. It seemed that they were frightened by Enel's cruel rule. Then do you know where the Island of God is? No, do you want to go there? Yeah, get something back. Things. Conus gave Hanxing a suspicious look. Island of the Gods is not that good. If you want to go there, you must first go through the trials of the 4 god-tier officials. After all the trials are completed, you can see Lord Enel. However, the trial was extremely difficult. Over the years, no one could pass the trial, and those who did not pass the trial would lose their lives. Are you sure? Do you still want to go? Sure. Hanxing nodded, his tone firm. The karma on him and Enel is too heavy. It's not enough if you don't go. Only by killing him, the karma on the two will disappear. Underscore. Chapter 334. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In this way, Thunder Fruit will completely become its own signature ability in the world of pirates. Conus took a deep look at Hanxing, seemed to see the expression in Hanxing's eyes, and sighed in his heart. She has said everything she can, and as a person she just met, she has tried her best. He stretched out his white fingers and pointed in one direction. Did you see that huge vine? That's where the Island of Gods is located. As long as you can reach the top floor, you can see Lord Enel. Thank you, Hanxing thanked. Under the sluggishness of Conus, the whole person rose out of thin air and flew towards the Island of God. He can fly. It doesn't look like he's going to die. In the sky, Hanxing was flying very fast, and it didn't take long before he saw the huge vines leading to the sky like a twist, and at the top was a floating white cloud, and the buildings inside were looming. The huge vine is like an ancient snake, circling, opening its bloody mouth, swallowing snake letters, and the white cloud building above seems to be his food. Hanxing raised his head and glanced in surprise, and the whole person flew upwards along the periphery of the vines. The trial that Corny said was not necessary for him. On the top, white clouds are lingering, and the mist is filled like a fairyland on earth. Here, a magnificent palace stands here, like a heavenly palace. As soon as Hanxing entered, the surrounding guards looked at him very vigilantly. Who are you? What's the matter here? Ah Shan, the leader of a magic soldier, said. You are Enel's bodyguards. Hanxing frowned, boldly dared to call the adults by their names, courting death. The irritable Ah Shan roared, raising his fists and blasting at Hanxing's brain. Humph, Hanxing snorted coldly, his eyes narrowed, and a cold-killing intent emanated from his body. Ashan threw his fist for a while, as if being stared at by an ancient beast. His whole body was full of dead souls, his whole body was trembling, and the beads of sweat on his forehead kept flowing out. Advertisement. He believed that as long as his fist swung at the opposite person, he must be the one who died. Swallowing his mouth, Ashan said with fear in his eyes, "Who are you, and what do you have to do with God?" Hee, God. Hanxing smiled disdainfully, but he was just the lucky one who ate thunder fruit, still God. It's only the guy you don't know who agrees with his name as a middle schooler. Zhang is such a name very Zhang Are you looking down on me? A thunder light burst out from inside and finally converged into a human form. Holding a golden stick with 4 enel drums engraved with 3 hooked jade behind it appeared in the eyes of everyone. Lord Enel, the divine soldier headed by Ashan whispered. Yeah haha, you're a Qinghai native who just came to Sky Island from Qinghai. Why are you so eager to die? Enel poked out his ears, seemingly lazy, but his eyes were extremely cold. It's me. The corner of Hanxing's mouth raised an arc, meaning, but. It's not me who died, but some people. Thunder fruit is delicious. Time to give it back to me. Hanxing's words made Enel feel like being struck by lightning. The original expression instantly became serious, and a huge wave was set off in his heart. Thunder fruit has always been a secret in his heart. Even the closest people don't know it. How does the person in front of him know? Also, what did he say back to him that this thunder fruit used to be him? Enel's mind was spinning frantically, thinking about the message of Hanxing's words. Yeah haha, you mean that thunder fruit is yours? Enel laughed, looking at Hanxing with a cold expression. Yes, now, you should give it back to me, Hanxing said with a firm expression. Humph, even if it's yours, I ate this fruit now. If you want to get it back, do it yourself. I'll see what you can do to get it out of my hands. With a fierce light on his face, he had a grim look on his face. It's easy. Of course you're dead. Advertisement. Court death, Enel shouted, holding the golden stick. He waved it at Hanxing. The top of the stick flickered with lightning, and a blue electric arc rushed towards Hanxing. Crackle, crackle. The blue arc directly hit Hanxing, causing Hanxing to be enveloped by lightning, extremely bright, like a bright pearl. Seeing this, Enel said fiercely, that's it. Still want to snatch my fruit? I thought you were so powerful. You're really over the top. After he finished speaking, he turned and walked into the palace, facing Ashan next to him. Wait. Chop his corpse into pieces to feed the beasts. Yes, Lord Enel, Ashan said respectfully. Just after finishing speaking, a faint voice came from within the thunder light. I said. How can you be confident that your thunder can hurt me? It seems that thunder fruit has not only brought you great strength, but also brought incomparable power to you. Arrogant. Enel's footsteps stopped, and he turned his head with a look of astonishment on his face. Can you withstand the bombardment of lightning? You said it was lightning. I thought it was you who saw that I was exhausted all the way from Qinghai, and sent me an electric current and electrotherapy to relieve my exhaustion. Hanxing's mocking voice came from inside the thunder. The corners of the guards behind Ashan and the others twitched, and from the conversation between the two just now, he vaguely understood something. He quietly stepped forward and said in a low voice, Lord Enel, let's go to the surrounding area to defend first, or do you want to deal with the Qinghai people in front of you? Go, you'll only be a burden to stay here. Enel waved his hands indifferently, his eyes now all on Hanxing. After confirming that Ashan and the others had left, Enel's face was extremely gloomy. You are indeed capable of resisting my thunder and lightning, but these are not my opponents. Hanxing's expression remained unchanged, signaling Enel to continue. Advertisement. Humph, you have successfully angered me. Courting death. Enel looked at Hanxing's indifferent expression from beginning to end. The shock in his heart just disappeared quietly, and a nameless anger rose to the sky. God's punishment. Enel jumped up and clenched his fist with the other hand, and the strong thunder light on it was like reality. Hit Hanxing with a punch. Crackle, crackle. The blue electric arc turned into a thunder beam, shrouded Hanxing from top to bottom, and penetrated directly. Yu Wei continued to fall downwards. Boom. The earth shook, and there was a monstrous roar. At this time, on Angel Island, people chatting outside accidentally saw a scene in the distance, which he will never forget. The dazzling thunder beams fell from the 9 heavens, completely covering the winding vines below, just like the punishment of the world, making people daunting. Is this Lord God angry? Okay, what a terrifying thunderbolt. Yes, has anyone trespassed on the island of God? One of the people of Angel Island came back and spoke in shock. Chapter 335. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hanxing stood in the lightning beam with a flat face, nothing at all. His thunder fruit has long been developed by him to ultimate, which is many times stronger than Enel, and has long been immune to lightning. Enel's thunderbolt was nothing but a warm bath for him. As for the vines below the lightning beam, Hanxing sneered in his heart. He could clearly feel that Enel's lightning beam was all used on him. When the thunder and lightning at the bottom are not even 1%, it is estimated that they are just pretending to deceive the people on Angel Island in the distance. Therefore, this lightning beam looks brilliant and bright, but it is a fake with nothing in it. Enel's purpose for doing this is understandable to Hanxing. After all, the people living on this vine are basically his trusted subordinates. Gradually, the thunder beam began to shrink, and then condensed a little and disappeared without a trace. How is this possible? Enel looked at Hanxing, who was safe and sound, and lost his voice in horror. Nothing is impossible in this world. Hanxing took a step forward and appeared beside Enel. His pitch black whip leg turned into an afterimage, and kicked at Enel, who lost his voice. Humph, ordinary physical attacks have no effect on me. Enel, who reacted, sneered. Bang, a dull physical collision sounded. Enel's eyes were bulging, his lips were wide open, and the pain in his stomach cramped as if he had lost consciousness. Before he could recover, a burst of great force suddenly erupted from the pitch black whip leg. As if someone threw a big mountain and slammed into him fiercely, the whole person turned into a streamer and flew into the distance, disappearing from Hanxing's sight in the blink of an eye. Advertisement. So weak. Hanxing looked puzzled, then shook his head. This thunder fruit was a waste to him. Angel Island is talking about the people, talking about the lightning beam just now. At this time, a meteor crossed a beautiful arc from the sky, and all fell on the ground of Angel Island. Boom, a huge roar sounded. The entire Angel Island was shaken violently. What happened? What's going on? Some Angel Island residents who didn't know what was going on ran out of the room and asked suspiciously. I haven't asked to understand. All of them are stunned on the spot. A terrifying drag mark appeared out of thin air, starting from one end of the island and dragging straight ahead. Vaguely, everyone could see the 2 long legs from the inside, and all the obstacles were destroyed during the period. Finally, they stopped at the other end of Angel Island, dividing the entire Angel Island into 2 halves like a plow. This is Lord Enel. How is this possible? The drag mark stopped, and some angels who were close to looked carefully from a distance and saw Enel, who had fainted inside. The expression on his face was complicated. Following the whispered conversations of the crowd, Enel, who was motionless, regained consciousness, wiped the blood from his nose and mouth, and stood up staggeringly. With horror on his face, he looked at Hanxing, who appeared in front of him at some point. You, how can you beat me? There was a hint of disbelief in the words. How long? Since he has Thunder Fruit, he is directly immune to all physical attacks. How can he still be hit by Hanxing's fist? Advertisement. Enel doesn't understand. Is his physical immunity invalid? While pondering, Enel hit his arm with a golden stick. Crackle, crackle. By the way, the entire arm turned into thunder and lightning, and the golden rod passed through it. Didn't your elementalization lose its effect? Looking at Enel's brain-damaged movements, Hanxing's mouth twitched and he said speechlessly, you don't have to try. Your elementalization hasn't lost its effect. This is the armament Hokage who specializes in dealing with fruit powers in the sea. As long as you learn it, your elementalization will not play any role. Armament Hokage, I didn't expect that stupid Qinghai people could invent this kind of ability. It seems that you are not useless. Enel sneered. Jump up and fly to the sky. It's over, Hanxing whispered, following Enel away. Leaving behind the bewildered residents of Angel Island. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and a ship marked with a god was floating in the air, and the cabin facade was made of gold. This is a ship specially built by Enel, named Noah. At this time, Enel was standing on the deck, as if waiting for Hanxing's arrival. Hanxing floated in the air, looking at Enel who was confident, wondering what the fool was thinking. You're finally here, then this battle can come to an end. On Noah, Enel's words were full of confidence and arrogant. With that said, Enel held the golden stick and pointed to the sky, the lightning flashed on his body, and a lightning bolt shot away from the golden stick, rushing into the sky. Boom, boom, advertisement. Immediately behind the dark cloud-covered sky, it seemed as if a pot had exploded, and a thunderous light sounded inside, as bright as the day. This move needs to be brewed for a while, let me show you my ultimate move before the next time. Enel smiled flatly, his eyes full of confidence. Lightning flashes all over the body, dazzling and unusual, like a small sun. The gathering of thunder light gradually condenses into a huge thunder giant. Die, you ignorant boy, accept my punishment. 200 million volts. Thor is coming. Enel's dignified voice came from inside the giant thunderbolt. Talk down. The sky darkened again, and a large hand gathered by the thunder slapped Hanxing heavily. The giant thundering hand that covers the sky is like the Buddha country in the palm of the Buddha, and the strong thunder and lightning on it will turn into flying ashes in an instant when ordinary people touch it. Enel is confident that even if Hanxing is insulated from lightning, there is a degree. Once this degree is exceeded, his insulated lightning will have no effect. At that time, its ending is self-evident. It's a pity that he thinks highly of himself and underestimates Hanxing too much. The two of them don't care about the same level of strength. In self-confidence, the dazzling thunderbolt collided with Hanxing, and accurately passed through Hanxing's body, and wrapped Hanxing's whole body inside. Boring. A faint voice came from inside, and the corners of Enel's pouted mouth froze. Then, a huge wave erupted from inside, which made Enel frightened and familiar at the same time. Lightning. That's right, it's lightning. He felt the fluctuation of lightning from inside, and it was still many times higher than his lightning. The two were completely incomparable, like the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, at the moment when Hanxing's thunder and lightning appeared, the thunder and lightning on his body seemed to see the Kun Lord, trembling, and flew towards Hanxing uncontrollably. Chapter 336. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. For a time, Enel, who was originally wrapped in thunder, instantly recovered into an ordinary person. Not only that, no matter how he summoned the thunder and lightning, there was no change in himself. It felt like Hanxing's thunder and lightning came out, and his thunder fruit immediately lost its effect. Enel was terrified and complicated at the same time. Could it be that this thunder fruit really belongs to him? At this moment, the thunder and lightning surrounding Hanxing began to gradually disappear. To be precise, it was absorbed by Hanxing. He looked at Enel, who was not far away, with a smile on his face. There was a look of Elm in his eyes. The next moment, the whole person silently appeared in front of Enel. You, what do you want to do? Looking at the sudden appearance of Hanxing Enel, he suppressed the panic in his heart and said calmly. I want your thunder fruit. Hanxing's face was flat, and his voice sounded like a devil's death to Enel. Thin palms stretched out from Hanxing's body, reaching for Enel's head. Good, it'll be all right soon. At this moment, Enel instinctively wanted to run away, but was touched by Hanxing's hand, and the fool knew the consequences. But his body was locked by an inexplicable aura, like being pressed by a giant mountain. He couldn't even move. He could only watch Hanxing's palm gradually approaching with despair. Click. ... Advertisement. Ding. Congrats to host for killing Enel, the original thunder fruit capable, completing mission 1, and the cause and effect is lifted. Reward host thunder fruit's ability to improve. As soon as the system's voice fell, Hanxing felt an extra energy in his body. This energy roamed back and forth in his body, and every time he walked around, the thundering bloodline in Hanxing's body would be tempered and increased by 1 point. After an hour, the energy in the body disappeared and Hanxing opened his eyes. With a thought, a gray-black thunderbolt appeared in his hand, and the space around him was distorted with a trace, which seemed to be unbearable. The power of lightning should have reached 3 billion volts normally. And the consumption is less than before. If you use all your strength, Hanxing can easily use tens of billions of lightning. Tens of billions of thunder and lightning. Hanxing is confident that in this pirate world, no one can withstand it. Glancing at the dead Enel, Hanxing disappeared in a flash. Not long after Hanxing left, the commander of the soldiers, Shan, confirmed that there was no movement inside, and then led a group of guards to the inside. After searching for a long time, they finally found Enel's body on Noah. Since then, the legend of Hanxing began to spread on Angel Island, and Enel, known as the god, ended his cruel rule. After getting off the Sky Island, it was already noon. Without the cause and effect of Enel, Hanxing felt a lot more relaxed. Land directly on Guy Island and head towards the one above. It was noon, the peak meal time. The food inside was basically full, and there was one seat at the front desk. Hanxing was not so pretentious, and went straight to sit down. Come here for your special. Okay, sir. Wait a minute, a waiter whispered. Boss, your food here is so delicious. Come on again, a voice shouted from the side, surrounded by folded dishes. Advertisement. The waiter responded, and by the way, a few people cleaned up the dishes, revealing the figures inside. There was surprise in Hanxing's eyes. He didn't expect to see him even after a meal here. Must have an orange cowboy hat with the Whitebeard Pirates logo tattooed on the back, and a little bit of Madara on his eating cheek. Ace. Hanxing frowned. By the way, this guy is tracking Blackbeard to avenge the 4th Division Captain Sachi. He remembered that in the original book, Blackbeard had appeared here for a few days, so it was no surprise that Ace appeared here. It's impolite to peek at others. Ace turned her head, revealing a touch of white fang, plain and polite. I'm looking at it above board, not peeking. Hanxing was serious. Ace was a little surprised, didn't expect Hanxing to say that. You're really welcome. You should know who I am when you see the logo on my body. No, what? Aren't you afraid? Why be afraid? I didn't offend you. Ha ha ha, indeed, you didn't offend me, why should you be afraid? Ace laughed, showing a little interest in Han. During the conversation between the two, the waiter brought the two people's meals. As soon as one end came up, Ace instantly turned into a starving ghost and was reincarnated, burying his head in destroying the food in front of him, and didn't even have time to talk to Hanxing. Hanxing shook his head and smiled, and began to eat the food in front of him, not to mention chewing it slowly, but it was much better than Ace. After a while, Hanxing ate a small piece, and Ace's portion had already been eaten. I made another one like this, smiled at the waiter next to me, and said to Hanxing again. Advertisement. Then you should have heard what I did when I left Dad's pirate group. I know, I heard that in your pirate group, a man named Teach killed the captain of the 4th division and took a very cherished devil fruit. Hanxing chewed the food in his mouth and nodded. That guy killed Thatch, I will never let him go, Ace said here, his gentle face full of anger. You can come here, it means that Teach is still on this island not long ago, and even now. Hanxing picked up the glass of water next to him and drank it. That's right, I heard that he was here some time ago, but unfortunately, I stayed here for a while and didn't find any trace of that guy. Ace looked lost, with a deep sadness in his eyes. Have you ever thought about a question? A pair of eyes looked at Ace seriously. What is the problem? You think you caught up with Teach, can you beat him? Why not? Teach will just run around like a mouse. If he is my opponent, why is he running? Ace's face was full of bewildered confidence, his eyes burning with blazing fire. Hanxing shook his head and finished the food on the table, and said to Ace, tell you a question you don't know. The reason why Teach doesn't fight you is not because he is afraid of you, but because he is looking for an opportunity, or in other words, he needs to adapt to the devil fruit ability he just got. Once he becomes master, the cat and mouse game will be over, and the two of you will do the opposite. It looks like you know Teach well. Are you Teach's partner? Ace smiled gently, which was a lot colder, even threatening. Hanxing believed that if she didn't give Ace a proper answer, it was estimated that this kid would immediately attack him. You can't talk about understanding, you can find out these things as long as you check them carefully. So much to say, for Maginot's sake, let me give you a message at the end. Underscore. Chapter 337. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sister Maginot. Ace looked confused. What does this have to do with Sister Maginot? You know her. You'll understand when you go back to Windmill Village. Hanxing avoided talking. Back to Windmill Village. Ace's eyes widened suddenly, as if thinking of something, and lost his voice. Difficult. Could it be? Are you the husband of Sister Maginot? Hanxing's face twitched for a while, wishing he could hit Ace. What the hell is this? No. Then, what's your relationship with Sister Maginot? Ace asked again, like a question baby. Okay, we'll talk about these things when you go back to Windmill Village. Now I'll tell you the last piece of information. If you want to hunt down Teach after you know it, just ignore it. Hanxing waved his hand and interrupted Ace's inquiry. He said earnestly. You said, after confirming that Hanxing is not Teach's accomplice, Ace has returned to his original appearance. Do you know how the 3 scars on the red-haired left eye came from? You shouldn't tell me that it was caused by Teach. Ace frowned and said solemnly. That's right, it's him. Redhead is one of the 4 emperors today, and if he can leave scars on his eyes, do you think Teach will be a rat in the Peach Village who is being chased by you? His strength is already tyrannical, and with the newly acquired devil fruit, if you chase after him, you can imagine the result. Ace was silent. Hanxing said the result, he must be defeated by Teach. Advertisement. Think about it. Today's Whitebeard is old, and his strength is not as strong as before. As the captain of the 2nd division, you are young and vigorous. If I guess correctly, you will become the leader of the Whitebeard pirates in the future. Hanxing patted Ace on the shoulder, paid the money, and walked outside. For Maginot's sake, he has already said what he should have said, and if Ace still insists, he will go after Teach. If he is defeated by Blackbeard and gives Marine a name-calling certificate, and then triggers the battle at the top, maybe he will also make a move. Alas, Maginot is not an ordinary human being. After finding a hotel, Hanxing pondered the next steps. Once the mission has been completed, the second is to form a powerful pirate group. Before forming the pirate group, Hanxing had to clean up Doflamingo, and by the way find the whereabouts of Fujitora. At this time, Fujitora was still a free man. If you want to find Doflamingo, you must go to the New World first, and if you want to go to the New World, you must go to the Sabayati archipelago. Alas, it's really troublesome. Thinking of these Hanxings gave me a headache. It wasn't these that bothered him, but because he didn't know the route of the Sabayati archipelago, so he had to look for it one by one, like Alabasta. The capital of 7 waters is a city on the water. The water channels inside are quite similar. In addition to the water surface transported on the ground, there are 7 giant waterways left from the capital of water from the heights, which is also the origin of the capital of 7 waters. Not only that, the capital of 7 waters is famous because most of the shipbuilding technicians on the whole sea are here, and it is a city famous for shipbuilding. After a brief chat, Sengoku yelled out the door, someone. You know, that Hanxing was fighting against Momosuke. When I went back, I asked Momosuke carefully. Momosuke said that Hanxing didn't show all his strength at all, as if he was playing with her. What's the matter? Talk about it. Advertisement. So that the Marine branch of the 7 waters made a direct call to naval headquarters. For a time, only Sengoku and Staff Crane were left in the quiet marshal's office. Akainu's strength is stronger than Momosuke. The strength is limited. The Crane staff frowned and said a lot of words, and he didn't like Akainu very much. Otherwise, what can we do? Besides, Hanxing appeared in the 7 waters. We can know it, and Akainu can also know it. Even if I don't call him, with his character, I will go there myself. Marshal Sengoku, this is the Marine Division of the 7 waters. I'm T-Pen. I have something important to report to you. The two had just decided on a candidate, and Sakazuki pushed in the door. Underscore. Naval Headquarters, who was struggling with how to deal with Luffy's affairs, heard the phone bug ringing, and quickly put down his work. Go and call Sakski Admiral over and say there's news about Hanxing. Hey, I'm Marshal Marine Sengoku, what's the matter? Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, close. What, you really want Sakazuki to find Hanxing for revenge? Bring it. First, let them see the battle between Admiral, and second, if Akainu loses, let them bring Akainu back. Sengoku decided. Remember, don't act rashly. Sengoku urged again. Then what can we do? 3 Admiral Kizaru has a mission, Aokiji has disappeared, and Garp is not obeying orders to go out to sea alone. Should I send some Marine Vice Admiral to help? Too many, the team is not easy to lead. The famous ships in the sea are basically from here, such as the red-haired pirate ship Red Force. Marshal Sengoku, what should we do? Advertisement. But, let him go alone. Do you think he is Hanxing's opponent? And, at a critical moment, Garp went to sea again. I'm a little worried. Then let Momosuke, Huo Shaoshan, Weasel, Ghost Spider, and Doubleman. Together, it's a buster call, Chief Crane said solemnly. Marshal Sengoku, what's the matter? A young man hurried in and said respectfully. Of course you can't go. Staff officer he directly dismissed the question, jokingly arresting a pirate, and why would Marshal Marine take action himself? Just discovered in the Seven Waters, Hanxing who disappeared for many days. Repeat, found Hanxing who disappeared for many days. You wait there, and I'll send Akainu over there later. Didn't you see how Akainu's face has changed over the past few days? He's going crazy. If it wasn't for naval headquarters, I'm afraid he'd go straight to Momoshiki for trouble. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. The young man did not forget to close the door as he left. Hanxing fell from the sky, led a blue, summoned Kagaya, and the two began to play here. After a pause, he pondered, Vice Admiral's words. I remember Weasel and Huoshaoshin are in the headquarters. It's probably not very useful to wear them. Clear. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. Okay, Sengoku nodded. Don't let him solve Hanxing. I'm afraid he will go crazy. But, Hanxing had no idea. His news here was seen by the intentional marine. Chapter 338. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Marshal Sengoku, I heard that you found the trail of Hanxing. Akainu said impatiently as soon as he came up. Well, in the capital of Seven Waters. I'm going to catch that kid right now. Akainu clenched his fists, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Okay, but, let Momoshiki. Sengoku informed Akainu of the names of the people who had just been negotiated. Let them follow you to give them insight. Gain experience. After all, admiral-level battles are not common. It is good. Akainu refused, but Sengoku was a marshal and his rank was higher than his military rank, which made Akainu, who pursued military ISM as the main force, to obey orders. Before long, 5 vice admirals, led by Momoshiki, walked in from outside. Moments later, the two warships set off from naval headquarters by wind and waves, heading for the capital of Seven Waters. The city of Seven Waters is not far from Eni's lobby. Momoshiki and others set off from the Gate of Justice in naval headquarters as a springboard, first arriving at Eni's lobby, and then from Eni's lobby, arriving in the city of Seven Waters. This long journey took only 2 or 3 hours to reach the coast near the Seven Waters. The capital of the Seven Waters is dominated by shipbuilding, where there are countless pirates who repair ships, and even return from New World. In the distance, as the 2 marine warships sailed by the wind and waves, all the pirates did not show any fear, but sneered, and a few were excited. Of the pirates who can reach the Grand Line, which one is not famous, cruel, powerful, and even hunted by marine, they have no sympathy for marine. Advertisement. If these marines didn't catch them and live in peace after they got ashore, that's fine, and they would be asking for trouble for finding marines. If you do it, then I'm sorry, I can't say that I have to do one. After all, there are 2 seas that have returned from New World, and this year's supernova. With these people around, they are not panic at all. While thinking about it, everyone turned their attention to the silhouettes in the front, with a trace of envy in their eyes. Tiger, Wolf, Hawkins and Kid. Well, I said how they suddenly became so serious, so it was Marine. Doc no. 1, Barry said lazily with a cigarette in his mouth. Marine, it's a little troublesome. Bipoli Lulu also stopped the movement in his hand. So did the other foremen, who came together unwittingly, and waited for the course of things. If they don't fight, they will continue to work. If they do, they will continue after the fight is over. If they die in battle, what will happen to the other half of their shipping costs? Amid the mixed expressions of everyone, Marine's warships gradually arrived at Marine's exclusive port, the capital of Seven Waters. Dock number 1 is surrounded by many ports where they can repair ships, one of which has a dedicated port for Marine. At the port, T-Pen, with 7 Marines, has been waiting here for a long time. Akainu got off first, and the other boat, Momoshiki and others followed closely behind. Akainu Admiral, dear Vice Admiral, you are here. T-Pen was first shocked by the luxurious lineup in front of him, and then said respectfully. Akainu didn't answer. He turned his head and looked at the pirates not far from dock number 1, with a pair of eyes staring at them, like a mad dog, making Kid and others not far away numb. Advertisement. As for Kid and the others, after seeing that the person who got off the warship was Akainu, their faces changed greatly, and they no longer lost the indifferent and confident expression just now. Later, seeing Momoshiki and the others following closely, there was already a look of horror on his face that he didn't even notice. See, Marine, Admiral, and Marine's 4 top Vice Admiral. What are they doing here? Kid's voice was hoarse and his face was ugly. Damn it, Marine doesn't want to kill all the pirates here. This lineup is comparable to Buster Call, Mandu yelled angrily. If the other 2 admirals were able to escape, it was him who came. Our subordinates may be able to escape, I guess it's enough. Hawkins looked calm. When the other people heard Hawkins' words, their brows furrowed, but they couldn't find anything to refute. After all, Akainu's temper was famous not only among Marines, but also among pirates. That is notoriously ruthless, and the number of pirates who died in his hands is unknown, and I am afraid they can pile up into a mountain of corpses. For a time, a few people who couldn't think of any way, their faces were gloomy and terrifying. This was an unsolvable situation. Just when everyone was desperately fighting, T-Pen said a few words to Akainu and others, and then, Akainu took Momoshiki and others, and walked directly towards the inside. Before leaving, he didn't forget to give them a hard look. Looking at Akainu and the others who left suddenly, Kid and the others all looked at each other with doubts on their faces. This is gone. Didn't Akainu come to arrest us? Kid frowned, puzzled in his eyes. The departure of Akainu and others shows that they are not here to deal with us. It just happened to happen. The fact that Marine can dispatch such a luxurious lineup shows that there is a very powerful pirate in the Seven Water City, and it is worthy of them to use such a lineup. Hawkins calmly analyzed. Hiss, hiss. The sound of cold air being sucked in and out from time to time was heard around. Advertisement. Marine Admiral and 5 top Marine Vice Admiral. Who are they? No, what pirates can make Marine dispatch such a luxurious lineup? They really dare not think about it. I am afraid that the 4 emperors of the New World only have such a lineup. Step on. After Hawkins finished speaking, he walked towards the distance with his footsteps. Instead of returning to his pirate ship, he went into the Seven Water City. Kid and others naturally understood Hawkins' plan, and they were obviously calm as he couldn't bear his own curiosity. Seeing this, Kid, who was a little itchy in his heart, followed Hawkins' footsteps and explained to his men by the way, let them wait here, and be ready to escape at any time. Just like Kid, the savage tiger and the jackal made an explanation and left with Kid and others. Driven by curiosity, they were not spared after all. In the city of Seven Waters, on the bustling streets, Hanxing ate the special water and meat of the city of Seven Waters, while buying the clothes Kagaya wanted with Kagaya in this commercial street. It seems that all women look the same and are born with a gift for shopping. No, just after he and Kagaya came here, their curiosity was driven first, and Kagaya started his own career of buying without a teacher. Clothes, shoes, cosmetics, perfume, make Hanxing's small space almost filled with Kagaya. Hu-kun, what do you think of this dress? Hanxing, who was waiting bored in a clothing store, suddenly saw Kagaya walking out of the fitting room, and asked expectantly. Chapter 339. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At this time, Kagaya was wearing a pink and loose short-sleeved shirt on the upper body and a pair of black gold shorts on the lower body, revealing a pair of long white legs. When approached, Hanxing asked for a faint perfume smell from Kagaya. This perfume was not strong, but matched with Kagaya's body fragrance, complementing each other, making Hanxing greedy to breathe the fragrance around Kagaya. Wearing a pair of white crystal sandals on her feet, there are 10 bright red girls, and the whole person looks not only youthful and beautiful, but also more energetic. Hanxing's eyes lit up with Kagaya's outfit. This outfit looks much better than the long white moon costume in the ninja world. Okay, very good. Hanxing smiled gently, with a hint of fire in his eyes. It seems that tonight is going to. At this moment, there was a sound of neat footsteps in the distance. Hanxing's eyes narrowed, and even Kagaya's face turned cold. She finally came out once and had a good stroll with her husband Kun but was interrupted. It's no wonder that her face is so good. As the 10 tails divine tree itself, it is natural that the 9 tails can perceive their good and evil from people's bodies. Kun, it's not good. Kagaya walked up to Hanxing and whispered. No, don't you see that there are always different people following us when I go shopping? If I'm not mistaken, it should be someone from Marine. Hanxing stroked his chin, his expression flat. Marine, Admiral, with your strength, these people are just here to deliver food. Kagaya tilted her head in disdain. After these days of Hanxing's remarks, she has a general understanding of the distribution of this world, the forces. Advertisement. But no one put Kagaya and Hanxing on them. In Hanxing's words, this world, like the ninja world, is a world where strength is respected. Maybe this world has more mid-range combat power than the Hokage world, but the high-end combat power is at most comparable to Uchiha Madara who opened Rinnegan. Not to mention the 6 paths level of the ninja world and Hanxing who broke the boundaries of the 6 paths. In Han's words, she can do whatever she wants in this world, without caring at all. Whoever dares to speak will directly kill him. If you have the strength, you can do whatever you want. Let's go out and see Marine's lineup. Hanxing interrupted Kagaya's thoughts, put his arms around Kagaya's waist, smelled the beautiful fragrance on her body, and walked outside. At this time, on the bustling streets, the tourists, pedestrians, pirates who had just been busy with traffic and people, have long disappeared. Even the shops around the street were closed without knowing it, and only Hanxing, a clothing store, was still open. Directly opposite the door of the store, Akainu and the others stood there solemnly, and around them, there was a dense array of marines holding various weapons, with a tense expression, ready to fight. Hanxing and Kagaya walked inside and saw Akainu and others not far away. He sneered, I thought who was it? With such a big formation, it's Marine Akainu Admiral. Step on 2 deep shoe marks on the flat concrete floor. A violent force suddenly erupted from the black whip leg, causing Akainu to tremble while holding Hanxing's whip leg, and then release it instantly. A dull metal crash sounded. What a sin. I knew I would never take Kagaya for shopping, but I accidentally developed this habit of Kagaya. Underscore. Boom. Advertisement. In the next instant, Akainu, who was burning with billowing magma, instantly disappeared in place. Is it him? Is his name Yar? That's really what I killed. Hanxing admitted with surprise and generosity in his eyes. Seeing Akainu's action, Momosuke and the others looked at each other and retreated into the distance with the surrounding marines. Admiral-level combat power, also known as humanoid natural disasters. It's okay to watch the battle from a distance, but to watch from a close distance, there is no strength. I don't know how to die. He raised his head, his dignified face full of surprise, his eyes widened in disbelief. What? Sengoku this time for you to catch. That's the marine you killed in Rogo Town arguing with Smoker. My lieutenant. Momosuke stepped forward and shouted. Ignoring the temperature on the giant lava fist, Hanxing sneered. What? Does the dignified marine admiral only have this strength? Akainu snorted coldly, her big fan-like hands shone with a strange metallic luster under the sunlight, facing the black whip legs. Philo reminds you. 3 things to read. Close. It's all right husband Kun. Let's continue tomorrow. But, Kagaya said with her index finger on her lips, don't fight here. If you break it, you won't be able to go shopping in the future. I haven't finished shopping yet. Woolen cloth. Yar, who? Hanxing was a little puzzled, touched his chin, and said embarrassedly, can you be more specific? You are Hanxing. Yar killed you. Akainu stared at Hanxing with a pair of eyes, with murderous intent in his words. I didn't know it before. I just know now. Hanxing smiled slightly, revealing a big white fang. The voice said coldly, what? You still want to shoot at me? Or do you think you can beat me with the 5 vice admirals behind you? Arrogant man, shaking his head slightly, he turned his head to face Wei Yorichi next to him. Looks like our shopping plan is coming to an end. Advertisement. Call out. Hanxing, obviously intending to do it here, no matter where it is. Akainu looked at the trembling arm. He felt that his arm had lost consciousness. Then, did you know, is he my nephew, my only blood relative? Akainu gritted his teeth, furious. Saying that, the body spun, and the jet black whip leg slammed into Akainu's abdomen with bursts of air. Akainu's body was burning with hot lava, and the indifference was full of majesty. Boy, you succeeded in angering me. Akainu shouted, his whole body was filled with thick lava, and the pungent smell rushed to his face. Humph, as a pirate, my strength is so strong. Today, I, Sokovsky, will try my best to defeat you and bring you back to Impel Down, otherwise, there will be extremely dangerous characters on the sea again in the future. He knew that Hanxing was very strong, but he didn't expect Dao to be so strong. As soon as the two fought, he would actually be at a disadvantage. You, courting death. Akainu's eyes were burning with flames, and he was so irritable that he could not hold back his anger, so he wanted to do it directly here. The lava spewed and turned into a huge lava fist in an instant. It appeared in front of Hanxing with monstrous force and scalding high temperature. Hanxing's expression did not change, but his eyes were full of disdain. His black palm stretched forward and caught Akainu's giant lava fist without error. Chapter 340. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Is this what you care about now? Your husband is going to fight with others, and you still care about these streets. For a while, Hanxing was speechless, but, what else can I do? I have to eat the seeds I planted with tears. He had to smile stiffly. Okay, I'll take this red dog to an uninhabited island not far away later. Yeah, there's Raouf-kun. I'll teach the concubine a hard lesson for the bastard who disturbed our shopping. Kagaya indifferently swept away Akainu, who was not far away, and then turned into a vortex into Hanxing's body. Looking at Kagaya who suddenly disappeared, Akainu's face froze. With his strength, he didn't realize how Kagaya disappeared. As that woman also capable, Hanxing naturally didn't know what Akainu was thinking. Looking at Akainu, the electromagnetic induction instantly radiated, spreading wildly around. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 100 kilometers up to 1,000 kilometers. After a while, Hanxing found several sparsely populated islands suitable for 2 people to fight. As soon as the footsteps are stepped, the whole person rises into the air, and the faint tone echoes below. This place is not suitable for fighting, come with me. Akainu didn't hesitate, stepping on moonwalk to keep up with Hanxing's pace. In the distance, Momosuke and the others saw this and quickly followed. After a few people left, Shi Changbingshan in the capital of Seven Waters ran towards here out of breath, next to Khalifa dressed as a secretary. One of world government's secret undercover CP9. Colonel Pen, I heard that Akainu Admiral is here. I came here specially to meet you. Iceberg's chest was heaving and his face was flushed. There is Lao Bingshan. Akainu Admiral and several Vice Admiral have left. Pen said politely. What a pity. Bingshan looked disappointed. Long Iceberg, I'm sorry. Pen said and ran towards the port with the surrounding marines. With Pen gone, the farce ended anticlimactically. Not far away, Kid and Hawkins quickly returned to their pirate ship and explored the surrounding islands. Advertisement. With their IQs, they naturally don't think that the battle between Akainu and Hanxing will end here. On the deserted island, Hanxing fell from the sky, followed by Akainu. The two stared at each other, and after a while, Momocity and the others also fell in the distance. The moment Momocity and the others fell, suddenly Akainu shot. Hot lava radiated from the whole body, making the surrounding air feel a little distorted. The next moment, the lava rolled and condensed into a red-colored dog's head. Akainu soared into the air, and the dog-head-shaped lava blasted towards Hanxing. The dog bites the red lotus. As Akainu swung out, the lava dog head rushed towards Hanxing at a speed visible to the naked eye, like a red streamer. Opened the savage mouth of lava and swallowed it at Hanxing. Hanxing's expression remained unchanged, his right hand clenched his fist, and his black fist suddenly waved at the dog's head not far away. Boom! A huge force erupted from Hanxing's hand, as if the huge dog's head in front of the billowing waves was directly smashed by Hanxing's punch. A white beam of light suddenly emanated from Hanxing's fist, covering Akainu in the sky. As this taiju attack, Akainu narrowed his eyes. Shout out, great eruption. The huge lava fist condensed in Akainu's hand in an instant, like a pillar of optimism, and crashed down against the white beam of light below. Boom! A dull sound resounded around. The powerful aftermath swept away like a hurricane in all directions. Advertisement. Amidst the gust of wind, Akainu's lava fist began to break apart at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not good. Akainu's face changed. At the moment when the giant lava fist cracked, the sixth-style shaver was activated in an instant, and the whole person disappeared within the range of the white beam of light. The white beam of light continued to fly towards the distant sky until it disappeared from everyone's sight. As early as when Hanxing landed on the island, his electromagnetic induction had already enveloped the island, even at high altitudes. Therefore, at the moment when Akainu disappeared, Hanxing stepped on his foot, and the space in front of him shattered like glass. When the footsteps fell, the person had come behind Akainu. At this time, Akainu looked at the white beam of light in the distance with some palpitations. In the next moment, his muscular arm suddenly flashed with metallic luster, and he turned around and punched without hesitation. Boom! A dull sound came from the two fists. Hanxing calmly grabbed Akainu's violent black fist. The other hand, covering Akainu's abdomen in an instant, said indifferently, Shen Luo Tianzhang. A devastating repulsion suddenly erupted from Hanxing's hand. Akainu's entire figure seemed to have been hit by a full-speed warship, like a meteor, and fell madly towards the bottom. Boom! A huge roar sounded around, like an earthquake, and the entire island was in a state of tremor. The gravel on the island was lifted out of thin air like mud, and the sky was filled with dust in an instant, and the sky and the earth were turbid. Boom! In a huge pothole, Akainu jumped up from it and said furiously. You are looking for death. Looking for death. Meteor volcano. Advertisement. With a loud shout, Akainu's fists were wrapped in rich magma and compressed. Then waved to the sky. Two compresses of Ultimate's magma stand out of thin air like two big suns. The appearance of these two big suns caused the temperature around Hanxing to rise sharply. Then came the pungent sulfur smell. The two big suns in the sky suddenly became extremely red, like a red sunset. Bang bang bang. In Akainu's sneer, two rounds of red sun suddenly erupted, one after another. Huge lava giant fists were like rain, covering the entire island regardless of enemy or foe. To be precise, Hanxing is the only one left on the island today. Momocity and others stepped on moonwalk and left here when Akainu called out his name. Hanxing also understood at this time that Akainu's loud shout just now was a loud shout, but it was better to say that Momocity and the others were waking up and leaving. It's a tacit cooperation, he murmured. The giant lava fist that fills the sky has fallen from the sky. Although Akainu's meteor volcano is indistinguishable from the enemy, you can control the center of the release. As a result, Hanxing has become a place where the bombardment of the lava fist is concentrated. Looking at the dense lava fist, Hanxing's expression did not change. He stretched out his right hand, and a black truth-seeking ball instantly appeared in front of him, turning into a black circular barrier to completely surround Hanxing. Bang bang bang, one after another giant lava fists bombarded Hanxing's black barrier, making a huge roar for a lifetime. The barrier formed by the truth-seeking ball is extremely strong, and no matter how Akainu's giant lava fist attacks, it cannot break through this barrier. Chapter 341. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. As time passed, the two rounds of big sun in the sky gradually dimmed, and the density of the giant lava fists gradually decreased. Snapped. In the end, it exploded like a balloon and disappeared without a trace. Not far away, Akainu clenched his fists, his face was extremely ugly, and there was a hint of shock in his pupils. I didn't expect that my proud trick would be easily blocked by Hanxing. That black barrier, Akainu murmured, gnashing his teeth. Feeling the fluctuations in the sky, Hanxing waved his palm, the black barrier instantly turned into the original truth-seeking ball, and finally merged into Hanxing's body. He raised his head and looked at Akainu with the same indifferent eyes. The plain eyes made Akainu frown. He felt that his eyes were like a goddess from above, overlooking all living beings, and he was like an ant. Akainu doesn't like this look. Damn it, you die. Akainu rages. The big fan-like hand slammed the ground. An inexplicable aura erupted from Akainu. This breath is like a ripple, spreading toward the periphery, and in the blink of an eye, most of the island is covered by this breath. Wow, at the moment when these breaths were covered, the gravel and hills on the deserted island changed in an instant, turning into fiery red and hot magma. A pungent sulfuric smell permeates around the island. The entire deserted island looked down from a high altitude, like a volcanic eruption, turning into a sea of lava fire. Advertisement. High in the sky, Momocity and the others looked surprised. Akainu Admiral actually used this trick. Looks like the battle is coming to an end. Speaking of which, this kid is quite powerful, but unfortunately I met Akainu Admiral. Everyone was talking about it, and continued to turn their attention to the island below. Akainu stood proudly in the billowing magma sea, with undisguised killing intent in his cold voice. Forcing me to use Fruit Awakening. Of all Marines' careers, you're the first. As a witness, you will stay here forever. Fruit Awakening. It's amazing. Hanxing raised the corner of his mouth. The whole person jumped up, and the body of chakra filled the air, like a substance. With a slight wave of his palm, with a smile on his face, he said clearly. Water style. Big waterfall technique. As soon as the faint sound fell, the surrounding sea water began to sway in a circle. The flat water surface began to shake violently. Wow, the sea turned into waves and began to beat the island. The louder the sound of the island as the waves beat, the wider the range. What is that? Momosuke gave a thin finger in the sky, her charming face turning horrified. The other 4 vice admiral followed Momosuke's fingers and looked at him, and for a while, he was stunned in place. In the distance, at the end of the coastline, a 100-meter-long ocean wave rises out of thin air, the sky covers the sun, and it rushes towards here. No, not one. Look around you. The weasel looked around, and there was a panic in his voice that he hadn't even noticed himself. How is it possible? Really? Akainu admiral this time? ... Advertisement. I saw the other 3 sides of the island, and I don't know when there was a huge wave that covered the sky, which was comparable to the first wave. When they approached the island, they were connected end to end, forming a water curtain that covered the sky. Like a water polo, it completely covers the entire island. At this time, Akainu, who was about to attack Hanxing, noticed something was wrong. The sky became dark at some point, and the huge waves that covered the sky began to shrink, appearing in Akainu's sight. Akainu had a look of shock on his face, turned his head and glanced around, his eyes were full of disbelief. How is this possible? Akainu wanted to use moonwalk to leave, but it was over now. The monstrous waves turned into a water curtain and completely covered the island, and Akainu's face fell in shock. Zizi, water and fire meet, and bursts of water vapor rise from it. Of course, it didn't take long before the huge waves drowned the water vapor and poured it on this small island. It's okay. Weasel shook his head, looking at Hanxing with a look of horror in his eyes. What made it even more unforgettable was that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't pull it out from Hanxing's 2-fingered vice admiral's sword, like an iron eggplant, unbreakable. There have been several dangers, and she relied on this instinct to escape from danger. Boom! His slashing with all his might was caught between Hanxing's 2 fingers. It didn't take long for the sea to disappear, revealing the wetland inside. And Akainu, who was in a coma. Just like the collapse of the Tianhe River, the endless sea water directly pours this small island upside down. Akainu admiral, we take away. How about the end of this matter? Momosuke said coldly. The weasel took Akainu admiral away. Here we will hold him, Momosuke said solemnly. With a flushed face, the weasel tried again. Now that he can control the sea water, Momosuke doesn't know if Hanxing has mastered other abilities, so after thinking about it, he will try not to fight if he can fight against Hanxing. Call out. Besides, as far as she knew, the huge gravitational force that Hanxing had when he was fighting her hadn't been used. Advertisement. The black light flickered and was extremely fierce, and the surrounding air seemed to be cut by it. Whoa, when? Okay, how much are you going to pay to redeem Akainu? Hanxing smiled. The weasel's face was ugly, and there was a strong disbelief in his eyes. The moment he heard Hanxing's words, the weasel drew his sword without any hesitation. The black armed color poured out, turned and slashed in the direction of the voice. You asked our marine to pay to redeem Akainu admiral. Do you really think we can't beat you? But the moment he left, Hanxing's figure appeared silently behind him, and the indifferent voice made the weasel's soles break out, sweating coldly. A metal crash sounded. Understood. The weasel nodded, and his figure flashed towards Akainu. The space rippled, and Hanxing's figure quietly appeared in front of Akainu. Clang. You can move my prey too. Looks like it's going to be a head-to-head fight. Ghost Spider snorted coldly. Suddenly, Hanxing loosened his fingers, and the weasel was implicated by his own strength, and his body involuntarily staggered backwards. The hair became active, and it was as flexible as a person's arm. At some point in time, sharp swords appeared in the hands of these hairs, and they looked at Hanxing with a cold expression. She didn't want to fight with Hanxing. Don't look at the 5 of them. If they were to fight, they would definitely lose. This is her intuition from a woman, something like intuition. She doesn't know whether others believe it or not, but she herself is very convinced. Huo Shaoshan stretched out his hand to support a weasel, and said solemnly, are you all right? The moment he appeared, 4 Vice Admiral, headed by Momosuke, followed closely behind. Chapter 342. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. What became of Marine Admiral? Slave. Hanxing's words not only made Ghost Spider's face turn cold, but so did the other Vice Admirals, whose faces were extremely ugly. What? Akainu is my trophy anyway. You want to take Akainu away with a word. Why? With your shame. Hanxing sneered, not afraid at all. Forget it. I'll take Akainu to Sabayati Archipelago in a few days. If you Marines are interested, let Sengoku talk to me in person. While speaking, Hanxing stretched out his palm. Goodbye. Not good. Seeing this gesture, Momosuke's pretty face changed, and he shouted, go. Get out of here. Just after she finished shouting, a violent repulsion, centered on Hanxing, spread wildly in all directions, covering the entire island in an instant. As if it would destroy the sky and destroy the earth, the entire island began to vibrate violently. The tyrannical repulsion Momosuke and the others could not resist at all, and were directly blasted into the distance by the repulsive force. The wet soil splashed, and the terrifying repulsion force plowed the island out of a huge pothole that stretched across the entire island. The pits are extremely deep, like a black hole in the starry sky, and if you look at them for a long time, your scalp will tingle. A trace of seawater gradually emerged from it, and then filled the entire hole, like a huge pool. Hanxing's expression was calm, and he stretched out his hand, and Akainu, who was wrapped in the truth-seeking ball by Hanxing below, appeared in Hanxing's sight. He touched his chin and whispered, you have to limit your physical strength. While muttering, he patted the water, and a hard branch, like a ferocious lion majesty, twisted and wrapped around Akainu completely. Akainu, who was in a coma, suddenly opened his eyes like a corpse. It's you damn it pirate. Akainu was furious. With all his strength, he tried to break free from the branches in front of him. Advertisement. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from the shackles of the tree branches. Not only that, Akainu could feel his physical strength passing by at a fast speed. What is this? How can it absorb my physical strength? Akainu was startled, seeing Hanxing. Nothing. A means of restriction. Hanxing smiled slightly, but don't worry, I won't let you die. After all, I'm still relying on you to blackmail Marine. When he said this, Hanxing was a little helpless, even a little embarrassed. Thinking that he is the number 1 in the ninja world, and now he wants to extort Marine, that's fine. The key is this money. F-kun, you look like you don't want me to use the money to extort Marine to buy things. Suddenly, Kagai's slightly resentful voice came from Hanxing's mind. How could it be? How could it be? You can buy whatever you want. Hanxing was about to cry without tears. If I had known that things were going like this, I wouldn't let Kagai go to any shopping mall if I killed him. That's good. By the way, the city just now is called the City of Seven Waters. I remember, when we finish getting the money from Marine, there are still several shopping malls there. Good. It's all up to you, Xing said stiffly. Hanxing said, taking a Kainu into the air. Where are you taking me? Said the red and blue. If Hanxing was carried to the next island, it is estimated that his marine admiral's face would be lost. Not only that, but it will also cause an indelible blow, causing Marine's morale to plummet, and so on. After all, Marine 3 Admiral is Marine's facade, signboard, and Akainu definitely doesn't want this to happen. Sabayati Archipelago. Not long after Hanxing left, several Vice Admiral led by Momosuke came running from a distance with embarrassed expressions. Looking at the pool in front of him, Hanxing could not be seen at all, and several people looked at each other for a while. Tell Marshal Sengoku about this, Huo Shaoshan said gloomily. Okay, Momosuke nodded in a low voice. Advertisement. Pick up the phone in your arms and start calling Sengoku. Marshal's office. Sengoku and Crane were sitting there with calm faces, as if they were waiting for something, and they could vaguely see their bodies tense. Satisfy him if it's not too much, if it's too much, hum. I didn't expect that Akainu and Momosuke would not be the opponents of this Hanxing. So, is he trying to use Akainu to blackmail us Marine and blackmail some Bailey? Sengoku breathed heavily. No, Marshal Sengoku, we failed. Akainu Admiral was taken away by Hanxing too, Momosuke said in frustration. Yes, he said he would be waiting for us at Sabayati Archipelago. You heard it all, Suru. The consumption just now, plus a few hours of hanging out with Kagaya, made his stomach a little hungry. Subsequently, Momosuke informed Sengoku of the details of the matter. After looking for a nice restaurant, Hanxing started his own 5 internal organs temple. From Momosuke's description, Hanxing's ability is different every time he shoots. Gravity, repulsion, and can control seawater. Every time Sengoku said something, his face became gloomy, and his head became more and more headache. In a narrow street in the 7 waters, Hanxing fell from the sky, and Akainu was thrown directly into his small space by him. ... Sengoku breathed a sigh of relief, looks like it's done. Hope it, he also said with a smile. In Sengoku's cold snort, he was full of murderous intentions, so naturally there is no need to say more about the consequences. Advertisement. Yeah, staff officer. He took a sip of tea and replied plainly. Picking up the phone bug in his hand, Sengoku said solemnly. The sound of the pointer phone bug interrupted the dull atmosphere. Blue, what are you going to do? Sengoku's words silenced the phone bug on the other side. Oh Momosuke, is the matter resolved? Are you taking Hanxing back to naval headquarters? Sengoku said with a smile. Good, I see. You guys, hurry up and come back. Sengoku finished and hung up the phone. Failure. Sengoku lost his mind for a while, then frowned and shouted. Just when Sengoku was about to ask, Momosuke's voice came from the phone bug again. This is the office of Marshal Marine, I'm Sengoku. Who are you? To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Feifei. Tell me about this in detail. See what this Hanxing can ask for. Marshal Sengoku, I'm Momosuke. Momosuke's slightly serious voice came from the phone bug. Watching the silent phone bug, Sengoku had a bad feeling. Yes, moments later, with a few phone calls from Sengoku, Marine, the massive machine, began shipping. Inform General Marine at Sabayati Archipelago and give him a phone bug that will talk to us. Chapter 343. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. As a last resort, I can only come here to fill my stomach, as for the Sabayati Archipelago. Hanxing is not in a hurry. Anyway, the 7 waters is not very far from there. At the speed of Hanxing, it can be reached in an hour at most. After eating leisurely, Hanxing rose into the air and flew towards Sabayati Archipelago. Sabayati Archipelago, also known as the Soap Bubble Islands, is located in front of the Grand Line and Red Clay Road. The island is composed of many large trees, and the ground is the root. The biggest feature of Sabayati Archipelago is the bubbles. Since the ground is composed of tree roots, these tree roots will secrete special natural resin, which expands when it encounters air to form bubbles one by one, flying to the sky, which is also the origin of the Soap Bubble Islands. Bubble cars, bubble Ferris wheels, and bubble buildings. It can be said that bubble culture permeates every place in Sabayati Archipelago. Sabayati Archipelago is called the Island of Redeparture by pirates. This is equivalent to East Blue's Low Town, dividing the Grand Line into 2 parts. Sabayati Archipelago is the end of the first half of the Grand Line, and further ahead, it is the center of the chaos in the pirate world, another area that even Marine cannot fully control. That area is called New World by the pirates, and the second half of the Grand Line is completely a paradise for pirates. Hanxing fell from the sky and started hanging out on the island, passing by the famous people on the Sabayati Archipelago. But before he could walk for long, a young man in Marine shirt appeared in front of him. Mr. Hanxing, I'm the Marine officer stationed here, Dalmesia, Vice Admiral rank. This is the phone bug that Marshal Sengoku asked me to hand over to you. What is the matter between the two of you to talk directly? Dalmesia handed a phone bug to Hanxing and said respectfully. The speed of this old guy is quite fast. Hanxing murmured and said lazily, I see, I will call Sengoku later. Advertisement. Then I'll say goodbye first. Don't disturb your interest, Dalmesia said, and left with an indifferent expression. It seemed that she had already received Sengoku's order. Really, the good mood was completely disturbed by him. With a slight grumbling, Hanxing walked towards the 13th area. A bland bar shows up here, with a plaque that reads Shaki's Blackmail Bar. This is it, Hanxing whispered, looking at the plaque on the bar. Reach out and push the door in. Welcome, guests, need. Shaki, who had a lazy expression, saw Hanxing's face, and his voice suddenly stopped. His eyes shrank for a while. It's him. This evil star. How could he come here? Isn't he in the 7 Water City? Trouble. This guy has a kind of detained. I'm sure Marine won't let him go, and now that he's here, Sabayati Archipelago is going to be in chaos. Shaki's face turned pale. Whatever. Hanxing surveyed the bar. The bar is not big, the light is low or even dark, plus the location and the name of the bar, so there are not many people drinking here. But Hanxing knew that Shaw didn't make a living by selling wine, but selling information. The intelligence group under her is incomparably huge. As long as she wants to, there is no information she can't get. Hanxing is not in a hurry. He has time anyway. In this day and age, not many people know Rayleigh. Shaki smoked, returning to his old appearance. Hanxing's words directly made the opposite Sengoku want to scold her. Advertisement. Isn't it because of lack of money to spend? I sold my own. Before Hanxing waited long, Sengoku's gloomy voice came from the phone bug. Hanxing pouted, ignoring Shaki next to him, and smiled. You know Rayleigh. Shaki looked even more surprised this time. You must know that with this money, you can live happily and peacefully in the whole sea. Even the 4 emperors of the New World only have a reward of 4 billion. This is half of theirs. Younger, Shaki looked at Hanxing with some surprise. It's true that a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers. Shaki exhaled a smoke ring and gave Hanxing a deep look. How much? How do I know? But Marine, as the number 1 force on the sea, 2.03 billion Bailey is still okay. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, close. I've calculated it. The 4 emperors' bounty is 4 billion Bailey. Among them, the strongest among the 4 emperors, Whitebeard, has a sky-high price of 5 billion. Yeah, I don't think I know. Marine knows that too. The corners of Hanxing's mouth twitched. It's quite casual. Having spent some time in the pirate world, he also understands that this rum is the cheapest wine in the pirate world, and everyone can drink it. Moses, I'm Sengoku. Sengoku's majestic voice came from the phone bug. Not much. Hanxing smiled indifferently, serious. I don't want too much. A marine admiral is comparable to the head of 4 emperors. Take the least amount, take the whole number, wipe the 0, and you can give me 5 billion Baileys. Advertisement. I'm Hanxing. Whatever. Then I'll get you a rum bar. Shaki took a bottle of wine from the counter and poured it into the glass in front of him, then handed it to Hanxing. You said, how much can a kainu in my hand extort from Marine? Suddenly, Hanxing changed the subject inadvertently. Next to it, the corner of Shaki's mouth twitched slightly. She admitted that she had misunderstood a little. This young man who came out of the sea is not ordinary ruthless. Underscore. Hanxing. The fact that you can get this phone bug means you have arrived at the Sabayati archipelago. Say it. What are your conditions? How can you release a kainu? Was your arithmetic taught by a fool? Just like Shaki's expression when Hanxing first came in, Hanxing can be sure that Shaki has learned from her channel about his kidnapping of a kainu, otherwise he wouldn't show that expression. But there was another layer of thought in her heart, and sure enough, she already knew what had just happened in the 7 waters. As soon as these words came out, the phone bug on the opposite side fell into silence. Money, devil fruit, gold jewelry or something. However, these thoughts were thrown out of Hanxing's mind in an instant, and he didn't come here to drink anyway. Forget it. Get me a seafood fried rice. Hanxing didn't talk about this topic. He just took out the phone bug that Dalmisia just gave and dialed it. How much do you want? As soon as these words came out, Shaki, who was planning to leave, stopped, turned around, with a hint of shock on his lazy face, and looked at Hanxing with interest. Looking around, Hanxing didn't see Rayleigh, and asked aloud, where did your old friend Rayleigh go? Why didn't you see him? 2.03 billion Baileys. A little too little, Hanxing pondered. Chapter 344. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Are you kidding? Sengoku gritted his teeth, growling loudly. 5 billion is not a lot. Let me do the math with you. Now as long as there are Logia fruits in the ocean, even the most trash can sell for 1 billion Baileys. And a kainu's lava fruit is also considered to be the top among Logia. 3 billion Baileys is not bad, right? In addition to being a marine admiral, it is a good 1 billion Baileys. The last 10 Baileys can be considered as a fee for my loyalty to Marine and my spiritual loss. I don't want much in this way. Hanxing touched his chin and said solemnly. You bastard. Sengoku was annoyed, wishing to go to Sabayati archipelago to find trouble with Hanxing now. But when he thought that Sakazuki was still in Hanxing's hands, he let go of his plans. As Hanxing said, even if Logia's devil fruit is rare, there are still a few in Marine. But an admiral-level Logia demon fruit power, and more importantly, someone who is loyal to Marine is not easy to find. 5 billion Bailey in exchange for a kainu, Sengoku thinks it is a good deal. If you don't change a kainu, but instead cultivate one, the resources consumed will be gone, and the key is to waste time. Today's sea is getting more and more chaotic. Marine can't lose a kainu's top fighting force. The reason why he didn't want to agree to Hanxing was because he didn't want to be led by Hanxing's nose. The dignified martial Marine was blackmailed by the pirates. No one would be upset. Let me talk about it. Staff Crane next to him took over the phone bug. At this time, Sengoku had already lost his mind. If he angered Hanxing, Sakazuki's life would be in great danger. Okay, Sengoku took a deep breath. He knew that it was the right time to hand over the period to Staff Crane. After speaking, he himself went outside. He knew that Marine extorting Marine was a foregone conclusion. But he was just a little unwilling, really, when Marine's money was so easy to get. He walked out the door and said directly to the clerk in front of him, notice, let Kuzan end his vacation and rush back to naval headquarters in the shortest time possible. In addition, order Kizaru to hurry back as well. Advertisement. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. ... Shaki blackmail bar. Staff officer, he smiled and said, you should be able to hear me. You should have guessed my identity, right? I know, Chief Marine Officer, Crane. Hanxing smiled indifferently. Is this a new negotiator? That's good. I'll stop talking nonsense. You're asking for too much money. With Marine's current financial resources, it's difficult to come up with 5 billion Baileys. Difficult. It's okay. Change it to jewelry, devil fruit or something equivalent. I'm not picky eaters. I mean 5 billion Baileys. We can't come up with it. Staff Officer Crane said in a louder voice. Okay, wait a minute. Hanxing put the phone bug on the table and said in his heart, how long will it be out? 20 minutes. A task for you. You've seen me negotiating with Marine now. The money will be yours then. They've got a good negotiator over here now. It's up to you. How much money you can get from Marine is your job. Got it. Look at me. As soon as Kagaya finished speaking, he disappeared into Hanxing's sealed space. Reality, the vortex of space emerges, and Kagaya emerges from it. With Marine's information, it is natural to find out where Rayleigh is, but the current Roger pirates have been disbanded with Roger's death, and Rayleigh is also living in Sabayati archipelago. Advertisement. Who did you learn arithmetic from? 5 billion Baileys down a little bit is 10 billion Baileys. Is this down? Huh. You think too much. I'm just eating at this restaurant. I didn't expect the owner of this bar to have such a big background. I'm Hanxing's wife. Now I'll start negotiating for Hanxing. This time, Sengoku ran directly to Staff Crane, picked up the phone and roared loudly. Yes, Kagaya replied softly, picked up the phone bug beside him, and said coldly. Do you still want to have a good talk? Is it to entertain us? Sengoku blushed and had a thick neck. Bar. So everyone in the bar heard our conversation. Sengoku's face flushed with anger, and he yelled out. The sound was so loud that the ears of Hanxing and the others were blurred. Marshal Sengoku, who will entertain whom first? Hanxing took the phone and sneered. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Feifei. Are you guys at the Shaki blackmail bar? Sengoku gritted his teeth. Yes, it's a billion Baileys. Then drop a little, a billion Baileys. No less. Kagaya's pale face showed a hint of excitement. Did you learn arithmetic from the Sea Kings? 5 billion Baileys down a little is 10 billion Baileys. Are you really mad at us? We Marine do have some strength in the sea, but you must also know that we have a lot of power, so there are also many people to support. 5 billion Bailey is really impossible to get. But he didn't expect Hanxing to be so clueless. Shouldn't such a secret thing be found in a secret place to talk about it alone? Advertisement. Sengoku, who just walked in, twitched the corners of his mouth. Isn't 5 billion down a little bit 10 billion Bailey? Isn't it Mofu-kun? Kagaya pretended to be puzzled. In Marine's office, Staff Officer Crane was slightly taken aback when he heard Kagai's voice, and then returned to his original wise man appearance. No, there aren't many people in this bar, except for the owner of the bar and the person named Rayleigh you mentioned. There are only me and my wife. As long as he doesn't go out and do evil, Sengoku will turn one eye away. A little down. How much is 5 billion? I heard from Hanxing that your Marines are the #1 organization in the ocean, let alone 5 billion. Even 100 can be taken out. Kagaya tilted his head and wondered. Rayleigh didn't speak. Hanxing said directly. He did his own business and didn't want to implicate others. Yo, I just heard the angry voice of an old friend. I thought you came here to catch me. It turned out to be a phone bug. At the door, Pluton Rayleigh walked in with a sullen face. Hanxing pointed at the phone bug. I'll give it to you. Humph. After Sengoku snorted coldly, the inside fell into silence again. After all, this is related to her future shopping life, and she must not give in on this issue. Is this still Marshal Sengoku, the Marine who has always been known as the resourceful general? This look can be compared to the old man's scolding. Beside him, Shaki watched Hanxing's riotous operation, and she was a little stunned even after seeing the wind and waves. Staff Officer Crane frowned. It seems that this woman is not easy to fool. It's you, Rayleigh. Could it be that you and Hanxing have formed an alliance? Sengoku said in a slightly surprised tone. Oh, Hanxing means 5 billion Baileys, which we Marine really can't take out. Do you think it's a little lower? But they are directly negotiating in the bar, because they are afraid that they will lose a lot of shame. Underscore. Chapter 345. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. As expected of the resourceful General Sengoku, this counts as where we are. Hanxing pretended to be exaggerated. Sengoku, although Hanxing is a compliment, why does he have the urge to hit someone? Taking a deep breath and suppressing the anger in his heart, Sengoku spoke up. We continue the topic just now. 5 billion Baileys is a bit too much, 4 billion Baileys. Sorry, I have entrusted my wife to discuss this matter. If you can handle her, let alone 4 billion or 2 billion. Hanxing handed the phone bug to Kagaya and gave her a look. The two have been together in the ninja world for more than 10 years, and they are still familiar with Hanxing's eyes. Boss, after listening for so long, can I make my seafood fried rice? Oops, I'm sorry, Brother Hanxing. I was a little fascinated by your conversation just now. I'll go right now. Shaki didn't have a hint of embarrassment on his face. As he spoke, he turned and walked into the house. Hanxing turned around, looked at the old man in front of him, and said with a smile, Pluton Rayleigh. Roger's right hand, the deputy captain of the Roger Pirates. It's time to be young. I'm just a lousy old man who makes a living out of coatings at Sabayati Archipelago. Rayleigh walked over to the bar, poured himself a glass of wine skillfully, and tasted it carefully. Also, you are indeed a lonely old man at this time. It's time to take care of yourself. Hanxing agreed. Can you tell me your name? I don't remember someone like you in the sea who could make a deal with Marshal Marine. And to be able to piss off that Sengoku guy like this, it looks like you have something in their hands that they must get. Advertisement. Hanxing. As for why Sengoku made a deal with me, Hanxing said here, grinning, because that guy Akainu is in my hands. Akainu, Marine Admiral, how could he be in your hands? A look of shock appeared on Lei Gu Jingbubo's face. What else can I do? I killed his nephew, causing their family to be completely wiped out. This guy came to seek revenge and was caught by me. It's as simple as that. Rayleigh's pupils shrank for a while, and the hand holding the cup stagnated in the air. You mean, now Akainu is in your hand? And when did this happen? Why didn't I get the news? An hour ago, in the Seven Waters, Sengoku dispatched 5 Vice Admiral, including Akainu, Momosuke, Huo Shaoshin, Weasel, Ghost Spider, and Doberman. Shaki walked out with a fried rice inside. No, eat it. Then he glanced at Kagaya who was not far away, who was fighting wits with Sengoku and the others. Are you so at ease for your wife to do this? That's right. Anyway, the more or less the money is, it's all pocket money for her. If it's more, it will take longer, and if it's less, it'll be less. Hanxing said indifferently. Pocket money. Shaki and Rayleigh twitched slightly at the corners of their mouths. Your family's pocket money is only 100 million yuan. This wife's favor makes Shaki's eyes full of envy, and the resentment on his face when he looks at Rayleigh is not concealed. You really dote on your wife. Here his long voice meant something. Rayleigh was a little embarrassed and could only hide it by drinking. Rayleigh didn't speak. Shaki took some bets. Hanxing was eating Shaki's seafood fried rice. For a time, only Kagaya and Sengoku were left in the tavern, and the sound of cranes arguing and bargaining. 4 billion. This is our limit. 10 billion. No more. Little girl, we Marine really can't get that much money, or 4 billion. Have pity on us. Old woman, 10 billion can't be less. Less pocket money is not enough. Advertisement. What? Pocket money? You want 10 billion to be pocket money? Do you know what the concept of 10 billion is? Sengoku roared from inside. I don't know. If we don't have 10 billion, we will tear up the votes. 4.5 billion. The most. 10 billion. No more. ... What do you think of this little brother named Hanxing? Philo reminds you. 3 things to read. Close. Shaki was smoking a cigarette, his languid breath suddenly turning serious. I can't see through, Rayleigh said after a moment of silence. Forget it. Hanxing smiled indifferently and said in a vague tone. Is she a fruit ability? Hanxing said so, and Rayleigh didn't ask much. After all, they didn't know Hanxing very well, and they didn't need to tell you all. I know, but all intrigues are paper tigers in the face of absolute strength. Hanxing smiled lightly, his face full of confidence. Kid Hanxing, you have to be careful. Naval headquarters is only 3 or 4 hours away from here, but that old guy from Sengoku takes a week. Wait, what did you just say? After speaking, pay Shaki the meal and leave. Can't see through. Is he strong? Even you can't feel it. Underscore. Good. Just 7 billion. In a week, I will personally lead people to trade here. Sengoku gritted his teeth. Wait until Hanxing completely disappears from the sight of the two of them. Advertisement. No need. My old bus will take care of me, and I will be responsible for this. Kagaya refused directly. Kagaya glanced at Hanxing, who nodded. It is good. Okay, just 7 billion. 7 billion. We promised. What an amazing ability, Rayleigh exclaimed in surprise as Kagaya shot into Hanxing's body. I already know a little bit about the character. Let's be strong. Indeed, after living so long, this is the first time I have seen this ability. Shaki also said. Go, Hanxing just waved. Let your husband answer the phone. We don't want to talk to you. What are you asking? Strength or character? 7 billion. Up to 7 billion. Otherwise, Akainu and our Marines will not. It's a big deal to cultivate one. F. Kun. 7 billion. 2 billion more and it's done. Kagaya was a little excited. Okay, thanks to you, we'll have a good time strolling around the island as soon as the money is in place. Okay, Fu-kun, I'm going to rest, Kagaya said in a code that only the two of them could understand. If you still don't agree, it's a big deal for us. Sengoku hadn't replied yet, and subconsciously he was stunned. 15 minutes later, both Sengoku and Crane were hit by Kagaya's temper. The liver hurts, the lungs hurt and the whole body hurts. Kagaya turned into a streamer and shot into Hanxing's body. After Sengoku finished speaking, he directly hung up the phone bug. From what I know about him, I guess this old boy is calling in people. Rayleigh reminded. Chapter 346. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It's more than strong. Rayleigh took a sip of wine, and his face became solemn. I smelled a very dangerous smell from him. Even the captain, old friends like Sengoku, didn't have the strong smell on him. You have it too. I thought I had it myself. It seems that this little friend named Hanxing's strength is not as simple as he shows. Shaki pondered. Alas, if I'm not mistaken, in 7 days, Sengoku will bring Aokiji and Kizaru in person. Even, it is possible to do it directly. Maybe there will be a big battle that will cause a sensation in the sea. What, you mean you don't like Hanxing very much? No, Rayleigh shook his head. First, don't like Marine. Once they fight, the place where we live in peace and old age may become their battlefield. What's the matter? The big deal is to change the place to retire. You are just worrying about nothing, helping others worry. Maybe, it's me who's overthinking it. Rayleigh held the glass and looked out the door, a glint in his eyes. ... On the big tree marked no. 73, Hanxing found a hotel to stay. At dawn the next day, Hanxing woke up from his deep sleep on time. He ate something casually, paid homage to his 5 internal organs temple, and walked towards Zone 1, where he wanted to buy a record pointer or an eternal pointer to Dressrosa. In this way, I will not delay time in the middle. By the way, in this week's time, I will completely solve the problem of Doflamingo and cultivate my own pirate group with peace of mind. Zones 1 to 29 of the Sabayati archipelago belong to illegal zones such as human auctions, human trafficking, intelligence, and black markets. The people who set up shop here are all people with great background and great strength. Not only that, but these zones are far more chaotic than the rest. As soon as Hanxing entered, he was targeted by some secret criminals. Advertisement. The goods are here. I didn't expect it to be a teenager. Looking at the appearance and skin, those with fine skin and tender meat can definitely sell for a good price. In the dark corner, the two youths looked at Hanxing with evil and greedy expressions. Hanxing, who was walking, felt the maliciousness coming from not far away, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He was really courting death. Just in need of a guide, choose one of you guys. Call out. In the next instant, Hanxing's figure suddenly disappeared from the sight of the two of them. The faces of the two people not far away changed. Boss, yes, he's a master. Go, 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 get out of here. As soon as Saul finished speaking, he saw that Hanxing, who had just been far away from them, had appeared in front of the two of them. He looked at them with indifference. His eyes were unsympathetic, like an emotionless machine. Big, sir, I don't know. What are you looking for from us? Saul said with a look of panic. You two are the local snakes here. You should be familiar with everything here, right? Yes, my lord. We are familiar with this place. Yes, is there anything I can do for you? Take me to a nearby place where you can buy record pointers for the various islands of the New World. Okay, good lord, please come with me, Saul said flatteringly. Yes, as for you, Hanxing said, turning his head to look at the other young man beside him, and said in a cold voice, just die here. After he finished speaking, he clicked his index finger, and a transparent air bounced from it, hitting the young man's forehead. As the blood splattered, the young man opened his eyes wide and fell to the ground with a look of fear. Advertisement. The brown ground was immediately dyed with a layer of red. After doing all this casually, Hanxing said with a flat face, let's go. Saul next to him was stunned, his face became extremely pale, and a trace of moist liquid flowed out of his crotch. Shivering, okay, big, your lord, you, come with me. After a while, under the leadership of Saul, the two came to a store that was not very large and not very luxurious. Saul pointed to the storefront in front of him and said cautiously, Big, your lord, this is where Sabayati archipelago sells record pointers. All the islands in the entire sea are sold here. Not only record pointers, but also eternal pointers. That price, not your average price. Got it, let's go. I won't kill you for the sake of helping me lead the way this time. Yes, small, let's go now, Saul said with fear, turned around and left here quickly. Hanxing didn't pay much attention to this little minion. Looking at the store in front of him, he pushed the door directly in. Welcome, guests. 2 young and beautiful maids followed Hanxing in and said softly. The voice is soft and glutinous, and people can't help but be shocked when they hear it. Hanxing couldn't help but sigh. This boss really knows how to do business, and those who didn't know it thought he was dealing in slaves. The store is not big. You can see everything in the store at a glance. Does the guest want to buy a record pointer or sell a record pointer? The yellow-haired maid respectfully asked. Purchase. Good guest. Please come with me. Hannah reached out and made a sign of please, then took Hanxing upstairs and came to a house. She knocked on the door a few times. In a soft voice, Mr. Eddie, someone has come to buy record pointers. Advertisement. Got it. Come in. An old voice came from inside the room. Hannah pushes the door in. At a glance, I saw an old man with white hair sitting on a chair with a smile on the corner of his mouth. He waved and let Hannah go. He said eagerly, my name is Colin. This guest, where do you want a record pointer? Or an eternal pointer? Dressrosa. Hanxing cut to the chase. Dressrosa. Colin's face flashed with surprise. Continues, we just happen to have Dressrosa's record pointer here. How much? The record pointer is 10 million. The eternal pointer is 100 million. So expensive. There was a hint of surprise in Hanxing's eyes. We just make a difference. Compared with the unfunded business of human trafficking, we make less money. Colin still had the same smile. Successfully paid 1,000 W. After leaving the store, Hanxing's wallet flattened again. Alas, if it weren't for the killing of some pirates on the way to the Seven Waters, I would not even have enough money to buy a record pointer. With a sigh, Hanxing took the record pointer to Dressrosa, jumped up, and flew in the direction pointed by the record pointer. Dressrosa is located in New World. There are 2 ways to reach New World from Sabayati archipelago. One is crossing the red line, and the other is the Fishman Island located 10,000 meters below the red line. Underscore. Chapter 347. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The general pirates basically choose the second method, including the 4 emperors. And Hanxing is alone and has flying skills, so he chooses the first one. Dressrosa is a resort-style tropical island, known as the land of love, passion and toys. The bullfighting arena here and toys with as many people's IQ are the characteristics of this country. This is also Doflamingo's lair. On the deserted coast, Hanxing fell from the sky and walked along the dirt path of the coast. It didn't take long for the dirt road to become a flat concrete road, and the crowds around became more numerous. After arriving here, Hanxing did not rush to find Doflamingo, but went to the nearby casino. He remembered that Fujitora used to gamble with observation hockey here in the original book. Along the way, you can see couples who were in love and toys with high IQ. There are also some burly men, who seem to have come to participate in the competition in the bullfighting arena. For these villains, Hanxing knew that they were real human beings, and that these were just devil fruit abilities that had been hit with sugar, so they became like this. The casinos here are also known as entertainment venues. In the west of Dressrosa, there are not only casinos, but also a series of black transactions such as arms trade, slave trade and so on. Of course, except for the casino, everything else is going on in secret, and the master behind this entertainment venue is undoubtedly Doflamingo. Hanxing arrived here and wandered around the casino, but did not find Fujitora's whereabouts. By the time he came out, it was already noon. Advertisement. He ate some meals nearby and paid homage to the Temple of the Five Internal Organs. Depressed, he glanced at the looming palace on the high ground in the distance. There is the King's Heights, the home of the Doflamingo family. A flash of coldness flashed in his eyes. Now, time, for you Doflamingo. With a murmur, Hanxing rose into the air, with ripples like water ripples under his feet, and walked towards the palace step by step. On the King's Heights, Violet stood on the high wall of the palace, looking at Hanxing who was flying towards here, frowning. Turn around and walk into the castle, in a splendid palace. Doflamingo and other cadres were chatting and laughing while eating, and Ovula came in. He said calmly, Dover, it's not good. A person is flying towards us. Fly, are you sure? Ovilet, Torpal, who was wriggling all over his body like a snot, said in surprise. Can't be wrong. That man looks like Hanxing from 100 million Baileys. Born in Turner, even Gladius seems to have been killed by him. Foo. It turned out to be him. If I guessed correctly, this is for revenge. Doflamingo smiled evilly, but his face was extremely solemn. As the emperor of the underground world, his intelligence organization is not built. It is better than Shaki's intelligence, and naturally he also received the information that Hanxing defeated Kaiensu Marine. Dover, is this person very powerful? His bounty is only 100 million Bailey. Diamante beside him was puzzled. This person's strength is not ordinary. I received news not long ago that Sengoku sent Akainu, Momoshiki, Huo Shaoshin, Weasel, Ghost Spider and Doberman to deal with Hanxing in the Seven Waters. Every time Doflamingo said one person, the expressions on the faces of the cadres beside him would be a little surprised. When he finished speaking everyone's names, everyone's faces were already shocked. Advertisement. Jorah even opened the most unknowingly. Foo. Result. Marine Admiral Akainu captured, 5 Vice Admirals seriously wounded and returned to Naval Headquarters. Master, what's the matter with Dover? Young master. Then, what's the result? Buffalo asked stupidly. Naturally, they would not doubt the information of the young master. In this way, that Hanxing's strength at least has the strength of Admiral. Contact Jack to speed him up and say there's a tough foe here. In simple words, the cadres behind Doflamingo immediately became vigilant. This kind of character, to be honest, they are not enough to look at. But in the next second, his face changed, and observation hockey came out through his body, but he didn't even feel Hanxing's figure at all. The cadres behind you, quickly follow. Foo. What a big breath. Do you really think that if you defeat Akainu, you will be able to spread wildness on my territory? Foo. If he comes as a guest, I welcome him. If he comes to make trouble, it's just that Gladius' revenge hasn't been avenged. This time together, Doflamingo sneered. The others were silent. The result. Hanxing could appear here. The result is self-evident. The two of us together, not even Admiral can please. In an open space in the King's Heights, Hanxing fell from midair. As a pirate of the New World, I naturally understand how powerful these people Doflamingo is. Yesterday I received a tip that he was still in Sabayati Archipelago, blackmailing Marine. Now he is here. This surprises me. Doflamingo laughed wickedly. Then he grinned and shouted in the direction of no one. I can't see where you are. Can you break this net? Advertisement. Master, what should we do? Rao Ji looked serious. However, these didn't stop him from flicking his index finger. White silk threads came out from his hands, and finally formed a big net, covering him and the family's cadres. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, close. Torapal. 1 admiral plus the 5 vice admirals who are comparable to Buster Call, even their family, it's a runaway. Okay, our friends have come in, let's go and welcome them. After ordering everything, Doflamingo stood up from his sofa, the corner of his mouth showed a slap in the face, and he took a big step and said loudly. Murder. Hanxing's voice was calm. With that said, take the lead and walk outside. Foo. Welcome. I wonder if Hanxing has something to do with us here. Doflamingo walked out of the inside and said with a big smile. You, or exterminate your Doflamingo family. Foo. Don't play these little tricks in front of me. Doflamingo laughed evilly. No, the next moment, the whole person suddenly disappeared in place. Seemingly seeing his subordinates' worries, he said, don't worry, it just so happens that Jack from Beast's Pirates will come here today to take away a new batch of artificial devil fruit. Don't you know if you try? Hanxing sneered, with strong disdain in his eyes. Foo. Murder. Who? Doflamingo smiled, his face gloomy. Chapter 348. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Doflamingo is a string fruit ability, and the fruit ability has been developed to the awakening. Every slender thread has the sharpness and tenacity of steel, and even to a certain extent, the sharpness of the thread is even higher than that of a sword. Now they are completely covered by a small cage made by Doflamingo. It is equivalent to having a layer of unsustainable tortoise shell around Doflamingo. If Hanxing wants to clean up Doflamingo and the others, he must first hit the cage in front of Arankar. Do you think a small cage in front of you can protect you both? Hanxing suddenly appeared in front of the cage, and said in a flat tone. Foo. Doflamingo laughed without saying a word, and with the flick of his fingers, the white silk threads turned into lacing bullets, shooting towards Hanxing. Crackle. The gray-black lightning flashed, and the silk threads that flew in front of Hanxing were instantly burnt out by the gray lightning that filled Hanxing's surroundings. As that thunderbolt, are you a Lodia thunder fruit capable? Doflamingo smiled, his face gloomy. That's right, but no reward. After speaking indifferently, the hands with gray-black thunder and lightning stretched out toward the wire cage in front. The dazzling lightning flashed, and the gray lightning instantly turned into a long whip and appeared in Hanxing's hands. With his slight flick, the lightning whip slammed into the cage like a sharp blade. Advertisement. Doflamingo's face sank, and the jet black arm color instantly covered it. Click. The white wire cage had no resistance in the face of the gray lightning, and was instantly cut in half by it. The weakest Buffalo and Jor were directly swept by black lightning because they couldn't dodge in time. The two were split into two in an instant, and in the middle, a strong smell of meat and burnt smell came from inside. Looking at the two family members who were talking and laughing with him just now, but now they are in different places. Even with Doflamingo's cold blood, his mood instantly turned violent. Fu, you were the first person to kill my family, in Doflamingo's laughter with murderous intent. A dark red aura erupted from his body, instantly covering the entire King's Heights, and spreading out at a fast speed. This imposing manner, domineering, full of innate nobility. It is only one in a million people, the born conqueror's Hokage. The dark red momentum turned into a monstrous energy column, radiating to the surroundings with this as the center. Thump, thump, on the bustling street, as the red aura spreads, ordinary people with ordinary strength all passed out with white eyes and foaming at the mouth. This is Conqueror's Hokage. It's from the Highlands. Could it be that someone fought Doflamingo and others in the King's Highlands? In the bullfighting arena, there was a hint of excitement in the fluctuations of King Liku. That's Wang Zidao. In the flower field full of sunflowers, a toy soldier who was missing a leg said solemnly. After speaking, it seemed that the girl who was trying her best to practice her sword moved and ran into the distance. Advertisement. 1, 2. The whole Dressrosa with the Conqueror's Hokage erupting in Doflamingo, where all those who haven't been comatose have their sights set on it. A golden momentum suddenly erupted from Hanxing's body, kingly and domineering condensed into one body, much stronger than Flamenco's conquerors. Crackle, thunderbolt, thunderbolt, crackle, crackle. Is this your conqueror's Hokage? 2 weak 2. He grinned in disappointment. Diamante had a good idea, but it was cruel at first. His steel cape collided with the Hanxing lightning whip. There was a sneer at the corner of Hanxing's mouth. Since he finished armament Hokage, he started to practice conqueror's Hokage. The dazzling golden light was like a golden beam of light falling from the sky, and it instantly shrouded the surroundings and collided with the dark red aura. Cultivation of conqueror's Hokage is to use conquerors many times with clones, which makes perfect, and even improves in the end. Those whose bounty did not reach hundreds of millions of Baileys could not resist Hanxing Hokage's impact, and they all fell to the ground with their eyes white. Thump, thump. It takes several days to surpass others in a day, plus 2,000 clones and 50 times the time. 1 day of cultivation is more than that of others in a lifetime of cultivation. Conqueror's Hokage is actually a kind of soul attack, that is, spiritual energy. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Feifei. This conquerors, how is that possible? Doflamingo's eyes widened, not daring to believe. Without the protection of Doflamingo's conqueror's Hokage. On the other hand, Hanxing is different. There is spiritual energy in his body, so when he cultivates conqueror's Hokage, he will replenish it with spiritual energy every time he runs out. Advertisement. Every time you practice conqueror's Hokage, it will consume a lot of spiritual energy. Some people are weak, and the time to practice conquerors is relatively short. The more spirits, the more conquerors they practice. The golden light and the dark red light intertwined back and forth, flashing, and purple lightning appeared in the center of the two. There is nothing impossible in this world. It's just that you sit and watch the sky. I saw that the dark red conquerors was beaten by the golden conquerors and retreated, and in an instant, it eroded the territory of the dark red conqueror's Hokage, forcing it to only about 1 meter around Doflamingo. Therefore, it didn't take long for Hanxing to cultivate conquerors to the top level, even more powerful than the red-haired conquerors. The two stick together in an instant, like a magnet. The iron conducts electricity, and the ultra-high current instantly electrifies Diamante into a black coke. Underscore. Watch out, Dover. Diamante shouted. The figure moved in front of Doflamingo with difficulty, and the flying fruit launched. While thinking, Hanxing's body shook with force, and the golden conquerors rushed towards Doflamingo and the others like a tide. But, as soon as the two collided, a shocking scene appeared. Doflamingo competes with him in conqueror's Hokage. While speaking, Hanxing raised his palm, and the dark gray lightning whip appeared again, sweeping towards Doflamingo with lightning speed. There were only 3 retainers who were the first to follow Doflamingo. The red cloak fell instantly, turning into a red steel cloak, and at the same time, the black arm color covered it, trying to resist Hanxing's lightning bombardment. The dark red Hokage with only about 1 meter left was instantly wrapped in golden Hokage and retracted into Doflamingo's body. At the center of conqueror's Hokage, Hanxing's expression remains unchanged, and he has no loss at all. Chapter 349. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Dead can't die. Looking at the sudden change, Doflamingo and others were a little unacceptable for a while. Diamante, X2 Torpal and Pika shouted in tears. Doflamingo clenched his fists tightly, eyes with sunglasses, staring at Hanxing. Fu, you were the first person to make me so angry after all these years. He grinned, extremely ferocious, and his whole body was filled with murderous intent as if it were real. You two leave here with your family, and I will avenge Diamante myself. I know, Dover. Be careful. After the two men finished speaking, they used their abilities to bring the comatose people around them to a distance. In the blink of an eye, only Hanxing and Doflamingo were left on the King's Heights. Feeling the departure of Pika and others, Doflamingo could no longer suppress the anger in his body. As soon as the figure moved, it appeared in front of Hanxing like a cheetah, and the black whip legs were as sharp as knives, kicking towards Hanxing's abdomen with a burst of sound. Comparing me to physique, Hanxing looked disdainful, but there was no fear in his eyes. The long legs full of strength stood up, followed by rapid rotation, and the black whip legs were like a streamer directly blasting towards Doflamingo's whip legs. Clang! A dull metal crash sounded. Doflamingo's face changed. A mountain-like force came from the opposite side, and the powerful force caused a pain in his legs. With the steady force coming from the opposite leg, Doflamingo was directly hit by Hanxing's powerful whip leg, kicking his body a few times. He kept a distance from Hanxing, his face was gloomy and dripping with water, and he could still feel the heart-piercing pain in his legs. Suddenly, Observation Hokage felt a figure appearing behind him. Doflamingo was puzzled, turned around, put his hands together, and the jet-black metallic luster followed closely behind him. Clang! Advertisement. The metal crash sounded again. The black fist was like a bomb, and the violent force shook Doflamingo's arms. The whole person was hit by this force and fell down involuntarily. Boom! A monstrous roar sounded, and the soil was flying. A figure fell from the King's Heights, like a meteorite falling from the sky. Boom! The deafening sound resounded throughout Dressrosa, causing the entire island to fall into a slight tremor. Click, click, bang! The dirt rises into the sky on the flat ground, and a huge pothole emerges out of thin air. The dust filled the air, completely shrouding the surroundings, and nothing inside could be seen at all. In the bullfighting arena, King Liku III, looking at Jing, was inexplicably excited. Even the other gladiators were looking there. That includes Marine Vice Admiral Maynard, who was just sent undercover by Marine. That's it. What's the situation? Does anyone challenge the king again? Amazing. In the bullfighting arena, the gladiators who were not in a coma were all shocked. On the silent street, a lame soldier suddenly appeared here, looking at everything in the distance, with hope in his eyes. Whoever you are, hope you can beat Doflamingo and give us Dressrosa peace. Advertisement. On the field, as time passed, the dense dust gradually dissipated, and a figure gradually appeared in the eyes of everyone in the distant arena. In front of him, a crater like a meteorite impact also appeared. In the innermost hole, Doflamingo was lying there bleeding from the corner of his mouth. You bastard. He staggered to his feet. Doflamingo's face was gloomy. The fire dragon roared, the flames of the whole body were extremely hot, and it was no less than the magma of a kainu, like the fire of the nine heavens falling into the mortal world. Otherwise, it is estimated that my life will be lost here today. Before the spider's web completely burns down, the whole thing rises into the air and floats in midair. 5 minutes, yes, if the Joker can't even hold on for 5 minutes, he won't be working with us. Boss, I heard Torpal say it was the Logia Thunder Fruit who attacked Doflamingo this time. Are we going to kill him? This is the symbol of one of the New World 4 Emperors, the Beast's pirates. Feeling that his arms have lost consciousness, Doflamingo ignored Hanxing's presence, crossed his arms, and white silk threads appeared on his arms, repairing the wounds above. If you can't dodge yourself, jump into the sea. Along the way, all ships that encountered this ship quickly avoided it. You are so arrogant about healing, when I don't exist. Hanxing raised his brows. It's a pity that it's all too late. I can only use that trick to delay the time. I hope Torpal has informed Jack of the matter, right? The extremely high temperature instantly ignited the spider web in front of you. Since Torpal called, the pirate ship has been on its way with all its strength, and it will take at least 5 minutes to get to Dressrosa. Behind him, Mahui reported. Spider's web. He was pressed and beaten by Hanxing. To be honest, if there was a regret medicine in the world, he would never be an enemy of Hanxing, and he would never go to Turner Village. Advertisement. Doflamingo's expression in the sky didn't know how to explain it, from the fight just now, whether it was physical art, fruit ability or hockey. Logia fruit power. No, aren't you a gravitational repulsion power? Why are you so powerful? Doflamingo exclaimed. There is no other, because the sail of this pirate ship has a rice-shaped bone with a skull in the middle. The key is that the skull has 2 long horns on its head. How long until the clown? Jack the Drow asked in a low voice on the deck. Behind him are his 2 henchmen, Kim Lamy and Shipshead. How is that possible? Doflamingo frowned. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, close. On the boundless sea, a huge free sailboat, riding the wind and waves, is galloping away in one direction. Boom, roar. On the deck, the burly and tall Jack the Drow stood there calmly. The surrounding temperature instantly became hot, and a huge red fire dragon appeared out of thin air. Reach out and wave, and the chakra in the body diffuses out. A jump appeared on the ground, and 2 red fist marks on both arms were clearly visible. The fire dragon exploded, like a dozen cannonballs exploded, and the surrounding ground began to crack in an instant. After he finished speaking, he stretched out his palm, and white silk threads began to appear in front of Doflamingo. In the blink of an eye, they formed a protective shield similar to a spider web. With claws and claws, he rushed towards Doflamingo, and wherever he passed, the space around him was distorted. The scorching smell and the diffuse dust floated out of thin air again and enveloped the surroundings. Chapter 350. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Then it depends on his attitude. It's fine if he submits to us, but not. Jack didn't say anything after that, but the killing intent in his eyes represented his will. Doflamingo saw the flames disappear and the whole person fell to the ground again. He didn't talk nonsense. With a wave of his right hand, an inexplicable wave erupted from his body, covering half of Dressrosa in an instant. At a speed visible to the naked eye, houses, gravel, and commodities were twisted in an instant and then turned into white silk threads. Most of Dressrosa instantly turned into a white sea of silk threads. Foo. This is the next stage of Devil Fruit's development. The fruit is awakened. Doflamingo laughed evilly, feeling the sea of silk threads behind him, and his gaze towards Hanxing suddenly became confident. Do you think you can beat me with your fruit awakening? Hanxing's expression was unwavering, not afraid at all. Foo. I admit that you are very strong. Your thunder fruit has a strong attack, and it is considered the top fruit among the Logia fruits, but unfortunately, the more top fruit, the harder it is to awaken. Next, enjoy the banquet I prepared for you. After saying with a wicked smile, Brother Doflamingo moved. The white ocean was surging, and the next moment, the sky suddenly darkened, and countless silk threads were arranged horizontally, like a white wave covering the sky. The entire Dressrosa surviving people can see clearly, and at the same time, the fear of Doflamingo is even greater. Under everyone's horror, the waves that covered the sky turned into huge white lines, like ferocious white snakes meandering towards Hanxing. The lightning flashed in Hanxing's hand, and with a gentle wave not far away, he drew a beautiful arc in the air. A gray-black thunder and lightning spread out along the arc. It grew long against the wind, and in the blink of an eye it became more than 10 meters. Facing the white snake in front of him, a whip swept across. Clap. Like cutting tofu, the white snake that appeared in front of Hanxing was cut into 2 pieces directly from the top of his head by lightning. Advertisement. Yu Wei swept towards the white ocean without abatement, forcibly blasting the white ocean with a long, 1 mark. Then how are those white lines possible? Is this still our country? When did our country have such a white line? In the bullfighting arena, people swallowed their saliva and said cautiously, their eyes were full of shock and fear. Doflamingo's method had subverted his cognition. On a dark pillar in the distance, Marine Undercover Vice Admiral Maynard watched what was happening not far away with shock and disbelief in his eyes. Is this the ability of Devil Fruit's awakening? I didn't expect Doflamingo's power to be so terrifying. Looking at the white snakes that covered the sky and ravaged wildly in the distance, Maynard was dripping with cold sweat. Under such terrifying power, I am afraid that even his Marine Vice Admiral is just an ant. Who is that person? How can he force Doflamingo to look like this? On the field, when Doflamingo, who was full of confidence, saw this scene, his self-confidence instantly disappeared, and he looked at Hanxing gloomily and grimly. How far is this guy's thunder fruit developed? Even the awakened lines are not your opponent. But it doesn't matter. One sound. Doflamingo reached out and pressed down. The white ocean spreads forward in an instant, until it reaches Hanxing, as if to entangle Hanxing. Boring means goodbye. Hanxing's body was covered with lightning armor, and with a casual kick, he burned the surrounding sea of threads. The whole person rose into the air, and the thunder light filled the air, and a huge thunder dragon that was more than 10 meters long erupted from Hanxing's hand, running towards Doflamingo with claws and claws. With that thunder dragon, Doflamingo's face condensed, and he felt an aura of ultimate danger from the thunder dragon on the opposite side. Advertisement. Without any hesitation, the white ocean returned to him in an instant. In the next moment, the white cross lines instantly turned into metallic black. Hanxing shook his head, his tone a little disappointed. The thunder dragon roared, with a monstrous momentum, like the recovery of the ancient thunder dragon, and the defense arranged by Doflamingo was destroyed by more than half in an instant. The last barrier was torn by Thunder Dragon, but because of this, Thunder Dragon's body became extremely dim, like an old man with a waning age. The wind will blow away wherever the wind is. Yu Wei undiminished and blasted forward. Is this your last dance? Too weak. I'll send you on your way. These dozen or so strands are wrapped around the sharp armament hockey from the beginning to the end. Damn it, guy! Doflamingo shouted as he looked at the Thunder Dragon in front of him. A thunderous crescent-shaped slash burst out from the tip of the sword, and it grew long in the wind, instantly turning into a sky-covering sword energy. Underscore. Reaching out, thunder light filled the air, and a gray-black lightning long sword appeared in his hand. At the same time, the corner of his mouth gave a grim smile. 16 rounds of holy bullets kill God. Squinting your eyes, the whole world instantly turns into a three-dimensional world full of gray nodes. These crosshairs are Doflamingo's ultimate defense, the shield white lines. Swipe at the black giant pillar in front of you. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Feifei. There was a flash of lightning, and the black giant pillar fell to the ground out of thin air, making a sound of shaking the ground. Not enough, not enough. Doflamingo's face was ashen, because the danger in his body had not subsided. Advertisement. Crack clap, click, click, bang. In the surging turbulence, a huge white line formed a cross shape, appearing in front of Doflamingo, blocking the way of Thunder Dragon in the blink of an eye. Doflamingo already has 20 or 30 defenses in front of him. The black line column collided with the Thunder Dragon, and the already dim Thunder Dragon was instantly smashed by the blast. Click, click. Without any hindrance, the sharp claws on the Thunder Dragon directly tore the shield white line in front of it in half. Each can withstand Marine's most ferocious artillery fire. As soon as his mind moved, his abilities moved, and the white line like a giant pillar slammed toward the Thunder Dragon not far away. Stepping out one step, the whole person disappeared into place out of thin air, and when he reappeared, he was already next to another black giant column. A wave of the palm again. At this moment, the gray-black Thunder Dragon began to collide with Doflamingo's shield white line. Moments later, Brontosaurus appeared in front of Doflamingo's last defense. Yu Wei did not diminish, turning into a dozen giant pillars covering the sky and crashing down towards Hanxing. The white ocean made waves again, and countless silk threads gathered together, and finally together with the white ocean, a dozen huge white threads were formed. At this point, Doflamingo breathed a sigh of relief, and the dangerous aura from inside was finally eliminated from the bottom of his heart. Facing the black giant pillar in the sky, Hanxing jumped up, holding the thunder and lightning giant sword, and swept across the giant pillar in front of him. These 16 silk pillars are Doflamingo's strongest trick after awakening.